Welcome to the Republican National Convention. We're coming to you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Of course, one of the most important battleground states for the 2024 presidential election.
It's going to be a wild week. I'm Cabot Phillips, senior editor at Daily Wire and Morning Wire reporter.
And I'm Megan Basham, Daily Wire culture reporter. We're going to be your hosts all week, bringing you all the latest action from the convention.
We have got interviews with some of the biggest names in conservative politics, analysis from campaign experts, and of course, more than a few appearances from your favorite Daily Wire personalities who will be joining us throughout the entire week. Megan, it is going to be a wild few days here. What are you looking forward to most?
Well, you know, I think what probably a lot of us are looking forward to is to see how the RNC responds to the attempt on President Trump's life on Saturday afternoon. Now, obviously, that has impacted the mood inside this convention. I was talking to some North Carolina delegates on my flight from Charlotte. I've also been in touch with delegates from Florida, Arizona, Arkansas. And what they're all telling me is that they have a little bit of a mood of anger at this shooting, also grief for the victims and their families. But this one was interesting. Gratitude. They're grateful that President Trump's life was spared, and they're feeling really inspired at his immediate reaction to stand and encourage his supporters to fight for this nation. And they tell me that that is exactly what they're here to do. Beyond that, I'm really excited to see all the pomp and circumstance of 50,000 attendees, including delegates and press, expected to be in this convention hall. All of it to watch the GOP make their argument to the American people.
No surprise that Megan Basham is excited for the pomp and circumstance of this entire weekend. I'm personally interested to hear how the Trump campaign talks about Joe Biden now that he is seemingly on the brink of dropping out. Will they avoid his age and hope to keep him on the ticket? Will they go after Kamala now that she seems like she could be the nominee? The Democrat Party throughout the last month has gotten most of the attention, and for good reason, after that debate debacle. Yeah. I want to see how Republicans are going to frame this election moving forward.
You know, I'm also excited about all of the guests we're going to be having on the show this week. In just a few minutes, we'll have RNC co-chair Michael Whatley.
Yes, we will. Great conversation coming up there. I also got the chance to talk with Speaker Mike Johnson this morning. Earlier, he was the first person we talked to. We were scrambling to get our set ready. He made time for us, though, right when he got to the convention center. Have a listen to that conversation. We're joined now by House Speaker Johnson. Thank you so much for making time for us, sir.
Great to be with you.
Let's get to the breaking news. This just came out. I know you haven't had a lot of time to read through the details, but top line, Judge Eileen Cannon has dismissed President Trump's classified documents case, ruling that special counsel Jack Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. What's your quick reaction?
It's the right result. We've had lots of consternation about this in the House, of course. We've been ringing the bells about Jack Smith and how inappropriate the whole thing was, and it's really gratifying to see a court rule that. I look forward to diving into the opinion. I hope there's written reasons. I haven't. This news broke while I was doing an interview with Ben Shapiro just a few moments ago. So it's really good news, not just for President Trump and our party, of course, but for the country.
Let's look ahead to November. Let's assume Donald Trump is elected. You guys retain the House.
That's a safe assumption now.
Republicans yes. Win the Senate. What does your legislative agenda look like on day one?
We are working right now to put together a very aggressive first 100 days agenda, and this is the Republican Senate and the Republican House working together, because I do believe we'll have the majority in both chambers now, and we'll have the White House under President Trump. So you'll have unified government and a very unifying moment for the country. We look forward to that. So what we'll do is, of course, address the most immediate issues on the hearts and minds of the American people. We will close the border immediately and get security in our country again. Of course, President Trump will be working to restore our position on the world stage, to project peace through strength. That's what's been missing, and that's what's desperately needed, and he's the one that can do it. We'll get the economy going again. You know, part of the reason that we're in the doldrum that we are and that everyone is struggling to put groceries on the table is because the Biden Democrat policies have gotten us into this mess. We know how to do it. We had the greatest economy in the history of the world at the first 2 years of the first Trump administration. We'll do that again with our tax policy, dramatically reducing regulations on job creators and entrepreneurs and innovators. We'll get the economy going again with energy policy and so many items. Budget reconciliation is going to be a big part of this. We've got to make sure that we have some of our policies implemented there right in the very beginning to set the table for all these great changes. So there'll be a lot of moving parts. It'll be a very aggressive agenda, and to be successful in that, we've got to plan that accordingly now, and that's what we're working on.
I think a lot of Americans are wondering what can be done to roll back some of the legislation that President Biden has passed. What would your message to those people be about undoing things from his first term?
Well, look, a lot of what they've done has been by executive order. And so you can use executive orders to unwind and reverse a lot of that. Thankfully, we have had a bulwark in the House. I mean, we had a small majority, the smallest in history. We had a 1-vote margin for about 4.5 months there. Now we're up to 3. What a gift. But because we did have that margin, by God's grace, we were able to stop the radical, woke, progressive agenda that would have already ended the Republic. I mean, really, in terms of public policy, it would have been over by now if we had not been there in the House to play defense. Now we're going to be able to play offense again. And we have a lot of things to unwind. I told President Trump myself, I said, when you get reelected, you could be the most consequential president of the modern era. And by extension, we'll be the most consequential Congress because we have to fix everything. I mean, they truly have made a mess of every area of public policy. And I'm so grateful we're going to get a chance to fix that.
On the topic of President Biden, how confident are you today that he will be the nominee come November?
I'm pretty confident. I mean, he's dug in. He's the one ultimately that makes that decision, of course, and he seems to be resolute in the matter, and I got to tell you, I'm happy about that. You know, you hear a lot of Democrats saying, oh, we'll trust his decision. They know he's already made the decision, and they're going to have to make peace with that. It's impossible to run a strong campaign under Joe Biden and the policies that he's implemented. I mean, they have nothing that they can show as a success, nothing at all. And so their entire campaign was going to be geared to attacking President Trump. But now, thankfully, President Biden said last night, we have to turn the temperature down. This should be a competition between policies and not personalities. And on those policies, we win every single day and Sunday.
Our listeners and readers are very invested in what's going on in Ukraine and the U.S.'s role in funding the war effort there. I'm sure you've heard criticism from within the party, people accusing you of shifting your position to now being more supportive of continued funding. What changed your mind on that issue?
Well, I'm not more supportive of continued funding. We had to do the one tranche, and the reason we had to do that is because Vladimir Putin had plans and would, I think, I'm convinced, have rolled through and taken the country. He would have taken the capital of Kyiv, and then he would be set up on the border of Poland or the Baltic states, we have NATO obligations there. You know, there would be a real concern, and there is among all of our European allies, that Putin would not stop there, and that he would have tried to invade other countries and continue to build a great empire, which is his twisted dream. So we had to avoid that further expense and that further investment. As I said, clearly I'd rather send bullets to Ukraine than boys, American soldiers. This is a real live-fire exercise. Now, Putin has been effectively held at bay. I mean, it's not a stalemate, but he hasn't been able to run through Ukraine. And I think what that sets up is a golden opportunity for a strong president like President Trump to come in and bring an end to this madness. And that will be good for stability there and in our national security interest. We do not want troops on the ground in Europe. We can't afford to do that in any sense of the word. And investing at this point was an opportunity to avoid that later and to keep tyranny and tyrants at bay. I mean, since World War II, the perception of a strong America is the only thing that has achieved that objective, and it's all important for everyone. Certainly us, especially us. And I think that we're going to survive this 4 years of disaster of Biden, and we'll be able to have President Trump back, and we'll assert that strength again. Doesn't mean we're the world's policeman, doesn't mean we should intervene all over the world, doesn't mean we should do nation building. But it does mean that our adversaries should fear us, and I think they will under President Trump.
Speaker Johnson, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks so much. Good to be with you.
That was House Speaker Mike Johnson.
With us now is the man of the hour, Chairman Michael Whatley. Thanks for joining us.
It is great to join you here. Absolutely. No, we're so excited to be here in Milwaukee. I think, what we are celebrating today, in addition to kicking off this amazing convention, is the fact that Donald Trump is okay. Thank God. And we are so excited to have him here in Milwaukee and to be able to nominate him and have him on that stage accepting that nomination. I think it is going to be a very powerful moment. Not just for the Republican Party, but for the entire country.
Well, I assume that you've been in touch then with your co-chair, Lara Trump. How are they feeling inside the Trump family right now?
I think they are grateful, honestly. I think that, that it is by the grace of God that the president is with us today. But I think they're also heartbroken for the families of the other 3 people that were shot, and one of whom lost his life over this for attending a political rally. I think that really needs everybody to stop and step back and understand what is really important in this election cycle. And so as we're rolling out this convention, our messaging is going to really focus on every American family and focus on the issues that they're facing, and really to step back and focus on what is important as we go into this election cycle. I think what we've seen far too often is the political vitriol. I think that the President Biden trying to draw a target on President Trump's back really is over the top. And as a country, we don't need that type of rhetoric, and we certainly don't need to ever see the actions that we saw on Saturday take place. A horrific shooting for everybody involved.
President Trump has said that he rewrote his entire speech in light of what happened. Have you been in communication with him about what that is going to sound like? What can Americans expect to hear from Trump?
What Americans can expect to hear is a president talking to all Americans. We need to bring this country together. We need a unified country. And when you think about it, over the last year, Donald Trump has unified the Republican Party. 95% of Republicans support him and his agenda. The Democrats are in absolutely free fall right now, a circular firing squad. That now is the time for us to talk to every American family about what they care about. Because when you think about it, right, the issues that our American families are facing, jobs in the economy, safety, security, those are not Republican or Democrat issues. They're not urban or suburban or rural issues. They're American issues. And Americans right now are facing a country far different than they did 4 years ago. Joe Biden unleashed rampant inflation. So now it costs 55% more to get gasoline. It costs 50 or 20% more for you to go to the grocery store. Rent is up 20%.
Yeah.
It costs twice as much to buy the same house today as it did 4 years ago. We've had 10 million illegal immigrants who have come across the southern border, and every state is now a border state, and every community is really being affected by the scourge of fentanyl. So we're talking to every American family about the issues they care about, and that is going to be the theme that you're going to see here in Milwaukee for the next 4 days.
You just brought up political vitriol, and one of the things that did strike me right after the shooting on Saturday night is that we saw some coverage from CNN in which one of their correspondents, I think you could say, chastised former President Trump for telling the crowd to fight, to fight for our nation. And then the very next morning, we saw on ABC George Stephanopoulos, Martha Raditz, accusing him of being responsible for violent rhetoric. What do you say to that?
I think they're completely off base. I think if you look at the rhetoric that we have seen in this election cycle, it has really truly come from one side of the aisle. And it's really unfortunate, that they have talked about, trying to take President Trump off the ballot, trying to take him off the campaign trail, trying to arrest him, to put him in jail. It has been absolutely nonstop that they consider him a threat to democracy. And right now, what we're seeing all across this country is polling that shows that the American people understand Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. But, what we want to do with this convention is take the next 4 nights and talk about the American people, talk about American families. We want to talk about how we're going to make America wealthy again, how we're going to make America safe again, how we're going to make America strong again, and obviously how we make America great again. And that's really not changed, and the president is got an opportunity to come in here and unify this country. And I think this is a country that really wants to be unified.
President Biden, since the assassination attempt, has been largely pushing that same message of unity, calling Americans to come together. Their campaign has pulled television ads temporarily. They've come off the trail. When they do return to campaigning in earnest, do you expect there to be a long-term shift in their strategy, moving away from saying this is a tyrant, this is a threat to democracy, or do you think they will go right back to that?
I hope they take advantage of this opportunity, because at the end of the day, when you think about the policies that Joe Biden has unleashed on America, his inflationary policies, his immigration policies, his weakness on the world stage, those are the things that American families and American voters are really concerned about. He has an opportunity in this election cycle to say, I'm going to address these issues. I'm going to try and fix it. But he hasn't. He's doubled down on every single one of those issues. And it's remarkable to me that the entire Democratic Party has followed him on this crusade against America. And I think that it's really something to see the American people say, no, we need a change. And we want a president who is going to restore our southern border, who's going to restore our economy, and who's going to restore our standing in the world.
But do you think there will be a tangible shift that people notice from the campaign, from their surrogates, from Democrats as a whole. Do you think this is a turning point, or is this sort of a blip on the radar where a month from now they're right back to where they were?
We can only pray that they will actually take this opportunity and move in a different direction. The American people are demanding it. I mean, there's a reason that Donald Trump is leading in every battleground state poll. There's a reason he's leading in every single national poll. It's because he's leading in every issue poll. This election is by voters for their families. And the issues that matter to them are the issues that President Trump is going to address over the next 4 nights and that we are going to address over the rest of this election.
Okay, so there's polling and then there's what happens on the ground. And a lot of your job has been to maybe reassure voters in the GOP base who are, I think, pretty upset with some of the things that happened in 2020 and a feeling that maybe the RNC didn't do as much to head off issues like ballot harvesting. There's concerns about election integrity. What can you tell us about efforts that have been made to assuage those concerns?
When I was elected as the chair of the RNC, I had a conversation with President Trump and he said, how are we going to win? What's the plan? And I told him on that day, we are going to do 2 things. And we are going to do only 2 things at the RNC. We are going to get out the vote, and we are going to protect the ballot. And that has been our focus every single day over the course of the last 4 months, and it will be for the next 112 days. What we're going to do is make sure that what happened in 2020 never happens again. So we're working right now with states all across this country to set up the right rules of the road. This has got to happen before Election Day. We want only American citizens to vote.
Yes.
We want people to have a voter ID. We want mail-in protection, ballot protection, right? We want to make sure that 4 states that have mail-in balloting, we have basic protections in place. Like we want a signature requirement. We want a witness requirement. We want those ballots going into a mailbox, not a drop box. And we want them in by Election Day. These are things that are supported by 70, 75, 80% of all Americans, Republican, Democrat, Independent. So it's critical to get those rules in place beforehand. If the states are not going to work with us, we'll file a lawsuit. We just filed a lawsuit today against the Biden administration for trying to register illegal immigrants as voters. It's against the law in all 50 states. The administration shouldn't be pushing it. This is our 95th lawsuit in 26 states since I became the general counsel and then the chair of the RNC.
Just in the last few days, we've seen Elon Musk come out and unabashedly endorse President Trump. So has hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman. So I think a lot of people are starting to go, what does this mean for fundraising? Are some of these, I mean, the richest man in the world is supporting your candidate. Does that translate to more checks?
Well, what I will say is this. Since Donald Trump became the nominee for the Republican Party back in March, we have raised over $400 million, right? And the neat thing about that is that 95% of those donations are coming from small dollar donations, right? What we saw in May, for example, we had 2 million individual donors. 30% of them, 700,000 of them were first-time political donors. And so this is a movement, and it's great because the fact that so many people are going online to support the president financially is another form of a poll. Really. The fact that we had started out with a tremendous financial disadvantage against Joe Biden when he became the nominee, and we've already wiped that out. What it means is we're going to have the resources that we need to go into this election cycle and get our message out to every American voter.
And I want to talk about what that message is. If you look at battleground spending, Democrats and the Biden campaign have outspent Republicans in the Trump campaign about 6-1 in battleground states. You guys seemingly holding your money for closer to the finish line. But when you do go up in those states and when you do start spending from that massive war chest you guys have amassed, will the message be different now after this weekend's events than it would have been a week ago?
There are obviously going to be nuances, right? And there are going to be things that we are going to tweak. But this really does come down to a conversation with the American people about how our policies and Donald Trump is going to lead us into a new age. This is an inflection point election, right? We're not just talking about the next 4 years. What we're talking about is for generations to come. What is the direction of America going to go in? And we are going to offer a positive vision. Look, Joe Biden's at 32% in the polls, right? Or 32% approval rating, but he's still at 40% plus, 45% plus in the actual polls. So there are people who are going to say, Joe Biden's terrible, but I'm still going to vote for him. We need to offer a solution. We need to offer a candidate that people can vote for. It's not just enough to say Joe Biden is terrible, right? And the Democrats, it's not just a messenger problem. It's a message problem. Otherwise, they could just switch it out and they would go in a different direction, but it's not. I mean, they have to defend these policies that are hurting every American family.
So in closing, this is a breaking story, so putting you on the spot a little bit, but down in Florida, a judge tossing out President Trump's classified documents case. What do you make of that ruling?
I think it just shows you again the political nature of the warfare, the lawfare that has been unleashed on Donald Trump from Joe Biden and the left. Every single one of these cases is politically motivated. All of them have been very weak on their legal basis, and they were designed to try and get him off the ballot, to try and get him off the campaign trail, and to put him in jail. I think that what we are seeing in every single case as these move forward is an understanding that we don't need to weaponize the judicial system, either civil or criminal, to go against a political candidate. We've never seen this in this country before, and I think that it just is a testament to the strength and resolve of Donald Trump, that he is fighting through this every single day and waking up every day ready to fight for the American people.
Well, thank you so much again for your time. Chairman Watley, Michael Watley, we appreciate it very much.
When you hear the name Joe Biden, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Disappointment.
Incompetent.
He's not fit to be president anymore.
Probably a little bit too old.
Idiot. Sorry.
What? Dopey Joe.
He needs to get out of there, obviously. It's really funny to see all of the media turning on him now. It's like the debate. For some reason, that was the turning point, but we all knew it before that. So
President Biden has said that he's had the most successful first term of any president in modern history. Do you agree with that? And if you do or don't, what do you view as his main accomplishments?
No, I don't agree with that. He's been the most successful first term in history.
Not a lot. I can't really think of anything offhand.
No accomplishments?
No, I can't either.
Not really.
Truthfully, I can't name an outstanding accomplishment.
So when you think disappointment, why have you been disappointed?
Our economy, the prices of everything, the homeless. He needs to address the homeless, and he's not. I was just out of Portland, Oregon, and it's Tent City, USA. Nothing's being done.
He's made it worse. Open borders, crime, inflation, you name it.
They're letting immigrants in, and he's letting all these immigrants in, and a lot of them, I don't know if you watch the news, are doing horrible things, kidnapping kids, trafficking, all kinds of shit, and it's because Biden wants the votes. And I think we need to focus on our people before we worry about other people.
Everything costs more. And crime and the border and all that. Yeah. Don't like it.
Same question, Donald Trump. What comes to mind?
That was our best years. We own our own business, and those were our success years.
I think the economy was probably working better when Trump was in office.
Our economy was incredible. It was incredibly strong. We were a safe country. The immigration and people coming over across our borders, he was trying to stop that. And as soon as the new administration took over, that came to a screeching halt, and we have so many problems now because of that.
Donald Trump, if he were to win, you wake up the next morning after Election Day, what are you feeling?
Happy, proud, got a chance for America to get back to where it was before he left office.
We're going to be joined now by a man running to be in the Senate in Wisconsin. That's Eric Hovde. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Mr. Hovde, nice to meet you.
All right, so we've got a mic right there for you, and we will jump right into this. You are running for Senate here in Wisconsin. What is the defining issue of the race?
Look, I would say there's probably two defining issues. One, quality of life, inflation, economics. Everybody has been hammered by the inflation that Joe Biden has ignited with all the reckless spending that they've done. So I just got finished doing an RV tour all over the state. And the amount of people that will come up and talk to me about their food prices, gas prices, housing prices, insurance costs. Has anybody looked at what your auto insurance and your homeowner insurance is now costing you? So that's probably the number one topic. But then the second topic is what I call the rotten onion. and that is our open border. And why do I call it a rotten onion? Because there's so many layers to it. First, it's compounding the problems with health care, access to health care and housing. Second, crime problems. Every week there's a sad thing. An illegal immigrant killed his 2 children here in the state last week. Heartbreaking. Then you have the terrorist issue. Then fentanyl. Fentanyl is touching every community, and some of the small communities in Wisconsin. We're losing 100,000 young people every year to it. So, and then lastly, they've created a humanitarian crisis. I have a foundation, I'm a business guy, but I've had a foundation for 25 years that I have Hovde homes around the world and in this country that rescue children from abandonment, slavery in the case of Ghana, but a lot of them focus on sex trafficking, pulling children out of the sex trade. And I can sadly say probably a large percentage of these children, of this 100,000 they can't account for, have ended up in the sex trade. So those are the issues that I'm hearing. Healthcare is a big issue. If you're in Milwaukee, crime's a big issue.
Yeah.
Now, your opponent in this race, the incumbent Tammy Baldwin, she is, by several rating agencies, the most liberal member of the Senate.
Yep.
She votes with President Biden, I think, about an estimated 96% of the time. Yep. Do you feel like she's representing Wisconsin's interest, and are her voters happy with her?
Interesting, she is a good chameleon. She comes back into our state, tries to portray herself as something she's not, that she's moderate, calls herself Tammy, and yet she's a complete hypocrite. She is hardcore left as you get. She literally earmarked money to a transgender clinic that affirms kids that are going through transgender that doesn't even notify the parents. So, okay, she tries to run an ad saying that she worked with President Trump, and yet she called him one of the most dangerous men. Her inflammatory language towards President Trump, voted against almost everything that he ever tried to accomplish. So, look, I'm running on issues trying to point that out. She has taken the politics of personal destruction. They've launched more attack ads against me than I think any U.S. Senate candidate. Because she has no record to run on. So, said I'm a Californian. Never been a resident of the state of California 1 year in my life.
I'll say that accent sounds Wisconsin.
I'm a fourth generation Wisconsinite, but I'm not going to go through the litany of all the crazy attack ads, but that's all she can do. And she's trying to distract from her record and what she's done of opening our border and all the crazy spending bills that she's voted with to ignite this inflation. So I feel really good about how the race is going. But as I often say, you can't do this by yourself. You need everybody's help. The left is very good at bringing an army. She gets all her money from big tech, special interest, Emily's List, Planned Parenthood. So they're exceptionally well funded, and the left is well organized. But I feel really good about the campaign.
Yeah, we just had a segment talking about national polls in the presidential race. Polling in your race does show you trailing at the moment. Some of those polls have you within the margin of error, but it does appear right now like an uphill battle against an incumbent. What are you going to do in the final few months to prove those polls wrong?
Well, the polls have me climbing. In fact, a New York Post poll just had me tied with her 48-48. I came into this 4 months ago. I had no name ID, and she's been in politics literally her whole life. So if you look at poll after poll after poll, I am gaining on her. It's continuing to hammer the message, talking about the issues that matter to the people of Wisconsin. So I feel really good about it. I was seeing that what you were talking about. One thing with Wisconsin, President Trump always polls lower than what the end results. And I feel that independents are going to break for the challengers because half of America feel like we're in a recession. What is it? 75% of America thinks we're going in the wrong direction. Yeah. I can tell you the people of Wisconsin feel that way. So are they going to stay with Senator Baldwin, a lifelong politician, or are they going to break and a direction for a challenger, a person who's been a private sector business guy who's given a lot of his wealth away to, charities around the world and country.
Yeah, well, you are certainly someone that the entire country is keeping an eye on, one of the most important Senate races this year. Sir, we appreciate your time.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for joining us.
Great being on your show.
Eric Hovde running for Senate here in Wisconsin. So we're going to have you hop off, and we're going to bring in our all-star panel. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Really appreciate you. Yeah, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we got our panel joining us now. First up, we got David Marcus.
Everyone's favorite columnist.
Thank you so much for joining us. You can read his
I wanted to see you smoking on our set.
You've seen him on Morning Wire. You know her, Mary Margaret Olahan, best-selling author. Thank you so much for joining us. And Mark Short from the Trump administration, now contributor on NBC. We are very happy to have all of you guys here with us. Action-packed week. So let's start with the topic that everyone is discussing. This is the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Mark, we'll start with you. How do you feel like this changes the race, and what sort of long-term impact do you see this having?
Well, I think it certainly rallies a lot of people around the former president right now. I think that as well, one of the central messages of the Trump campaign is strength versus feebleness and frailty of the Biden campaign. And when you see Donald Trump sort of emerge triumphantly from that scare and be as defiant as he is, I think it's central to the contrast he has with Joe Biden. What I don't know, Cabot, is how long does that last? I think that we've seen over the course of this campaign the news cycle changes rapidly. So certainly I think this will unify and rally Republicans and some independents back to Donald Trump. How long, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, Mary Margaret, I want to turn to you because there's been a lot of discussion about the social issues surrounding the GOP plank this year and what the platform is going to look like. And your book obviously deals with the transgender issue, and that's really one of the only social issues that we're seeing in the GOP platform this year. So, what do you think that tells us about how voters are feeling about that particular issue?
Well, I think it tells you a lot about how Donald Trump and the campaign think that voters are feeling about these issues. They're prioritizing trans issues. They're prioritizing, protecting kids from transgender surgeries, hormones and puberty blockers, and, sexuality in schools. Those are big topics. The life issue, not so much. In fact, heading into this week, we saw a lot of pro-lifers getting ready to take a stand and say, no, the RNC platform does not go far enough when it comes to the life issue. We need to be much more emphatic about protecting the unborn. And I think this weekend's events really showed how unified the party is now, where a lot of pro-lifers who were prepared to just dig in and say, no, we're not accepting this, are realizing, no, the president got shot this weekend, our former president. We need to rally around him and put him in office.
David, I want to get your take on the social issues in the plank and in the platform. It's got a lot of talk. Do you view this as pragmatism? Do you view this as a mistake? What do you think this is?
Look, I think it is pragmatic. I think that the GOP right now has a generational opportunity, right? I'm old. I was born in 1974. When I was born, Democrats had controlled the House for 20 years. They'd control it for another 20 more. That's a universe that we can't imagine, because that was a Democrat Party that reached every corner of the country. The GOP has that opportunity right now, especially with the Democrats face planting every time they try to do anything. So I do think that it's a pragmatic choice. As a Catholic, am I in love with it? No, I'm not. But the country's standing on a brink, and I think that the people who are willing to step back from that brink need to work together, and we can kind of work out the rest of it after that.
Okay. Mark, do you think it's a mistake? Do you think it could push maybe some of the people in the base out? Do you think they're going to vote for Trump regardless, so they're not worried about that?
I think that the base is still going to vote for Trump. I nonetheless think it's a big mistake. I think the party should stand for something, and the party has stood for life for a long time, and it's been central for pro-lifers as a place to come. But I think, Cabot, it's broader than that. You look at the platform, and it now embraces a protectionist policy of 10% tariffs across the board. It has basically said we no longer support a balanced budget amendment. It says we're no longer going to address entitlement spending. It drops the defense of Taiwan. It's a transformational platform. It's not, the life issue is gotten the most attention, but where the party is going is drastically away from conservatism.
So what doesn't it move into the center more? I mean, and it doesn't that create the opportunity for?
If you're a labor union Democrat, probably it looks like it's moving toward you.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about the argument, and you've heard some make this, that it's not a matter of a shift in priorities. It's a matter of streamlining the platform that went from, something like over 100 pages to less than 20.
Right. I've heard that as well. It's not necessarily like reworking the platform. It's more of a messaging document, which, yes or no, but there's something to be said for the fact that abortion and the unborn were mentioned something like 30 times in the last platform, whereas they're mentioned once in this platform.
And I'm interested, too, on y'all's take, the economic plank of the platform that you mentioned on tariffs and maybe less of a traditional Reaganite free market approach. Is that more a reflection of what Donald Trump and Republican candidates believe, or is it a reflection of the fact that the GOP base is now increasingly working class, non-college educated, and that's who it is?
It's about who won him the election in 2016 and who lost him the election in 2020, and that's Rust Belt factory workers who, rightly or wrongly, believe that their jobs got sold out to China. They've believed that ever since Billy Joel sang Allentown. And I think that Trump's message is, I'm going to give you those jobs back. I'm not sending them to China. I agree with you. There's real question as to whether it's the right move, but that's who he's talking to.
Well, I think there's no doubt, you're right, that in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, those Rust Belt voters switched over to Trump. But I think it's a misreading to say they did it for economic reasons. I really think they switched because of cultural reasons, and that's why they came to the Republican Party. And I think we're misreading the situation today if we're going to now become a fully protectionist party. And I think that it's a dramatic change from where we have been. And I think it's not just on trade, it's also having no sense of fiscal responsibility anymore whatsoever. When you abandon any mention of trying to curtail entitlement spending and what's driving next generation into a mountain of debt they're not going to be able to pay back.
Yeah.
So to what degree do you think, and I've heard this term a lot, and it's one that just sort of came up with this election cycle. Every election cycle seems to have its new buzz term, and this year it's double haters. Suddenly I'm seeing that everywhere, and it is the voters who don't like either potential candidate, they don't like either choice, and so what they're looking for is, who do I hate less? So they doubly hate both the candidates, but they're going to end up with one camp or the other because they are going to vote. So, I mean, do you feel like what's happening here this week is going to make an appeal to those double haters? Maybe, David, we'll start with you.
Yeah, no, I do think so. And I think that was the most important reason why, aside obviously from the signs of dementia, why Democrats wanted Joe Biden off of the ticket. But they're stuck now. And in large part because of the assassination attempts. And that image of Trump that's going to live on for hundreds of years. Nobody's beating Donald Trump, and there's no reason not to throw Joe Biden to the wolves.
Yeah, and I would argue that assassination attempt and that image that you're talking about might have kind of changed this double hater game anyways. There's a lot of people out there. I've even seen a lot of girls posting about how, in the last election, they hated Trump and they were big Me Too girls and they would love to talk about those issues. And just seeing him raise his fist and say, fight, 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 changed the game for them. And now they're looking at him as someone that's brave and resilient. And I think that's the sentiment that's resonating with a lot.
That sounds like toxic masculinity to me, though.
Toxic
I don't know. Those people are now approving
We're finding out
masculinity.
it's actually attractive.
I think to your question, Megan, I think the reality is that the former president and the party have a great opportunity this weekend to have a message of unity. We'll see how long that lasts, but I think that the tragedy on Saturday does afford them that opportunity to hopefully bring in new voters.
So just looking ahead, what we expect to see from Democrats, the Biden campaign has pulled the VP and the president off the trail. They've pulled TV ads temporarily. They'll be coming back up. When they do come back up, David, do you actually expect to see a long-term shift where they are embracing the better angels and unity?
No, I don't, but I also expect that they're doubling down on the Hitler rhetoric and what we just saw, like a New Yorker cover that was like the Supreme Court justices, except they're all Trump except for there's no black Trump for Clarence Thomas, but they're all Trump. No, they're not going to knock it off, but I do think that the American people are not going to accept it. I don't think it works.
And I actually want to bring that up for a second because I don't know how all of you felt, but even just yesterday and the day before, seeing the rhetoric that was coming out in the mainstream media in the immediate wake of that shooting, that they were saying things on CNN like shaming Trump for telling his supporters to fight for the nation, George Stephanopoulos saying that Trump's own violent rhetoric contributed to this. How does that resonate with voters when they see that kind of reaction to someone who just survived an assassination attempt?
Well, I think if you look at how Democrats have been messaging on these same things for years, if you're paying attention, it just comes across as very hypocritical. Chuck Schumer said several years ago, I want to warn you, Gorsuch, and I want to warn you, Kavanaugh. You've unleashed the whirlwind and you will pay the price. And then lo and behold, an assassin showed up at Kavanaugh's house. And thank God he was not hurt in that attempt.
It's amazing how that story
crazy.
went away, right?
And it's amazing that we're not hearing that story now, right? Because we're hearing all about Paul Pelosi and we're hearing all about January 6th. We even hear a little about the Scalise shooting, but yeah, nobody's mentioned that Kavanaugh. That is fascinating.
And that story got even worse because literally the day after that assassin showed up, there were protesters outside illegally protesting, and the governors were calling on the Attorney General Merrick Garland to do something, and nothing was done. And yet here we are now, and we have the same conversations about political violence and rhetoric, and it's just nothing has changed.
Yeah. So you guys maybe don't expect to see much of a messaging shift from the Biden campaign. Mark, do you agree with that?
I agree with them on the messaging. I'm still perhaps in a minority camp that I don't see how the Biden campaign is sustainable. I think that the events last few days buy them more time because nobody wants to have change at the top of the ticket right now. But I just don't see how he's going to withstand the continued drumbeat of more and more elected officials calling for a change over the next 3-4 weeks. Having a late convention may end up hurting, Biden's chances of being their nominee.
And I want to follow up. You worked in the Trump administration, director of legislative affairs, and then chief of staff to Mike Pence. You know how the administration thinks. You know how Donald Trump thinks. Do you think that this is a long-term turning point for him? We might see him embrace the unity rhetoric on Thursday. Do you think that's something that sticks? Is that a short-term shift?
I don't know, Kevin. I recall in 2016 on election night, his team had drafted a pretty strong speech that was consistent with the campaign of the lock her up messaging. And he said, no, tonight's a night for unity. And if you go to his election night speech, it was actually a strong speech of unity. I don't think it lasted long. And so I can't know that. I do hope that is the message that comes out of this convention. I do hope it's a rallying point. I can't say with confidence that it'll be a long-standing message.
David, if you're advising the Trump campaign this week and until November, what message are you encouraging them to push?
I mean, for months I've said it. It's unity. It's seize this opportunity. This is a new GOP. Joe Biden likes to say this isn't your grandfather's GOP. That's right. This is a much more diverse GOP. This is a much more working class GOP. This is a GOP that is looking at winning states like Virginia. I mean, this has the potential to be absolutely game changing. And I think that we may now have a Donald Trump with the discipline. Notice at the debate, right? When Joe Biden was completely losing it at the debate, I don't think Donald Trump could have handled that moment better, right? He just kind of let it happen. He had that one little one-liner. If Trump can be disciplined, the sky's the limit for what the GOP can achieve.
He's really gifted in many ways, and he can rally a lot of supporters. I'm not going to wager on him being disciplined.
Fair enough.
Okay, maybe if we're looking though at the raw Trump, the real Trump, that moment with his fist in the air, does that change that image and the video? I mean, does that change even the blue state voters?
No, listen, I was sitting at Tony Packo's in Toledo because I drove out here when that happened. I was interviewing some voters, right? And we're watching on the news. It's its own interesting thing because everyone comes to the bar and they say, turn it on the news, right? They've all got phones, but it's not real until I see it on that TV on the news, right? And when that image happened, the guy sitting next to me, he works out on freighter ships, he just turned to me and he said, that's it. He's like, you can't beat that. And I think he's right.
Do you think they're even going to try, though? I mean, they have to, let's say, change horses at this point among the Dems. Are they going to do that, or does this take the heat off?
No, I think they're going to throw Biden to the wolves now. Who else would step into that lion's den at this point? It doesn't make any sense.
So this makes him safer.
Yeah.
Now, earlier in the afternoon, Donald Trump putting out on Truth Social that the vice presidential nominee would be J.D. Vance. So let's talk about the senator from Ohio. What do we all think?
I mean, I know that a lot of people are going to be really excited. A lot of people wanted him. They sort of felt like he was spiritually the younger son of Trump, the son maybe Trump never had, that he really represents what so many people find appealing about a Trump candidacy. On the other hand, I do know a lot of evangelicals, a lot of religious voters who are going to feel a little bit disappointed because they were already feeling like they're not super represented in this campaign this time out. And they're going to feel more that way with J.D. Vance, given some of his recent comments on abortion.
Yeah.
It's a difficult issue because most Americans support restrictions on abortion, but they don't support banning abortion. So I think a lot of Republicans are struggling with messaging on abortion right now, and Vance, Rubio, a lot of different Republicans are trying to find that sweet spot. And some of us are happy with how they handled it and others aren't, and we'll see how it plays out.
That was just the moment that a lot of the people who talked to me, which is a lot of the religious voter crowd, the evangelicals, they were really unhappy with Vance's comments. And they suddenly, they went from really wanting him as the VP pick to not wanting him at all.
Yeah, look, this is absolutely the pick that the hardest core sort of MAGA Trump supporters wanted. That this is throwing them a bone. I wonder if the events of last week sort of led Trump to the idea that, hey, I can throw these guys a bone because maybe it's not as close as we thought it was going to be. I also think it's worth noting that one of the potential drawbacks for J.D. Vance was that he's fairly isolationist on foreign policy, arguably much more so than Trump, who killed Soleimani. And so, but that is a little bit countered by Nikki Haley, who is suddenly now is going to speak. So maybe some of those Haley voters will be soothed by Haley's speech, even if they're not nuts about some of J.D. Vance's rhetoric about Ukraine and other issues.
And maybe tomorrow morning, Trump also posts on Truth Social that Nikki Haley is going back to the UN, so he can appease some of those voters.
Absolutely.
On that
absolutely
front.
Could be.
I concur that I also think that JD has somewhat similar to the fighter mentality. And if you're trying to pivot into more of a unifier message, I'm not sure he fits that best model, but I think that's where he's going.
And broader question, just how much of an impact with a candidate like Donald Trump, how much of an impact will a vice president actually have on winning people over? We hear people say, well, maybe pick someone like Youngkin, you might get slightly more moderate voters, or pick a fighter like Vance and you're going to, shore up the base for sure. David, do you think there are any voters that are going to be swayed by J.D. Vance's presence on the ticket that maybe earlier were on the fence about Trump?
I don't. I mean, that's the other sort of drawback, I think. I don't think that and that's what leads me to believe that they looked at the post-assassination situation, the fact that the Democrats are likely stuck with Biden, and felt like they could make a choice to appease the base rather than a choice to expand the map. Not that, the map could certainly expand anyway, which is what a Youngkin would have more naturally done. But yeah, this to me says that Trump feels pretty good about his chances.
I don't think it's make as much difference. I think in 2016 we had a different circumstance. Donald Trump was new to this. And if you recall in Cleveland, Ted Cruz, the runner-up, came to convention and refused to endorse Donald Trump. I think having a social conservative who had grassroots support back in the Tea Party days helped unify the party. Today, Donald Trump doesn't lack that. He has a unified party behind him. And so I'm not as confident that it's going to make as much of a difference. I think we have very polarized candidates at this point at the top of the ticket. And so who you add at vice president is going to have less consequence.
Yeah, I was going to say that this feels like the confidence pick because, J.D. Vance did not have that triumphant a victory in his Senate race. It was a fairly tight race. He isn't necessarily going to bring in the Rust Belt states, so they must feel that they can do it without him. And, there's also this. Maybe Trump was feeling a little bit burned on what he experienced with Mike Pence last time out. They did not end with the best relationship. And, maybe this time he's just thinking, I want somebody who's very like-minded and who I don't have to worry is going to want a distance from me later.
The other thing to think about, though, is that Trump can only serve 4 years, right? Mm-hmm. So clearly we now have a J.D. Vance who's, I assume, going to throw his hat into the ring in 2028. But I wonder if Vance, I wonder how much of a head start he's going to get on that. Yeah. Or if you're going to have the Rubios and the Haleys and the rest of the people, the Bakes, coming in and saying not so fast. That'll be a fascinating dynamic to watch over the next 2 or so years.
Yeah. You think he's trusting that Vance is someone who's going to carry on his legacy and the policies he cared about?
I do.
I want to close. We're all kind of assuming Joe Biden will be the nominee. Obviously, that's still very much up for discussion. As things stand right now, let's maybe put some odds on it. We put you guys on the spot with VP. Let's put some odds on it. What do you think the percentage chance is that Joe Biden is on the ticket in November? Mark, we'll start with you.
I think it's a little under 50%. I'd say like 40%. But I also think that because the Democrat Party is the party of identity politics, if they make a change, they can't pass over the first African-American female vice president. And so for all this conversation about having an open convention in which somebody else could rise, I don't see that. I think there's a better chance to be Kamala Harris as the nominee.
And how much better of a shot, if any, would you give Kamala compared to
You know,
Biden?
it's interesting, Kevin. All along, her numbers have been significantly less than Joe Biden's versus Donald Trump. After the debate, that you saw it switch the first time, and she began outpolling Joe Biden. And so I think there's, to your earlier question, I do think there's a lot of people out there who are voters who are still double haters. And so even though she's not popular, just giving a fresh perspective may influence some voters. So I think there's an argument that she would do actually better than Joe Biden, even though she's even more radical socialist.
Yeah. Mary Margaret, what do you think?
I'd say it's 50-50. I change my mind every week, and this news cycle has just been going and going and going. So it's really hard to predict, but I'd give it 50-50 odds that it'll be Biden. Every time Gretchen Whitmer's name comes up recently, I get a really bad feeling about it. But that's just my gut. That's my concern, that Gretchen Whitmer would somehow play a role in this next election. Please God, no, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere between 80 and 90% that it will be Biden, and most of that 10 to 20% chance that it's not Biden is either a legitimate medical emergency over the next 4 months, a stroke, something along those lines, or debate Joe shows up again, or worse. But I think they're stuck with him because Trump's too strong for anybody else to want to run against now. And they don't have a case to prosecute anymore because they're stuck with this Hitler stuff. They're stuck with this threat to democracy. So what's a Kamala Harris going to go and run on? The economy? The Middle East? The border?
Well, she's been the border czar, so she can run on that sterling record.
Yeah, I don't.
And the reproductive rights girl.
Yeah,
right.
But I do think you make an interesting point, though, that there was a lot of time in this race when people said, whichever party swaps out their candidate first is going to win. Right, that the real feeling of the American people was, we don't like either of these guys. We really just want a different choice, somebody who's not 170 years old, And I think that's just not true anymore. I think that all changed last week.
People are truly enthusiastic for Trump now.
Yeah. We will leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Our panelists here today, David Marcus, Mayor Margaret Olahan, and Mark Short. Guys, we appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We are joined now by Michael Loftus. I feel like when you say comedian, it puts a lot of pressure on you. Do you feel pressure right now?
You know what?
Be funny right now.
My entourage just dropped a large box in the background. But this is a great time to be a comedian. It's a great time to be in the entertainment world because it's just so insane. Yeah. So the jokes don't write themselves, but they'll give you the setup. Joe Biden walks on stage. Just wait. Something funny will happen.
Now, do you feel pressure with your audience to go, more jokes towards Joe Biden? Maybe we'll do some Trump. What is your audience like? Do they like when you're making Trump jokes?
I like to trick them. I really do. Because I was on the Trump train back in 2015, like very early when he first announced. So my act would start off, it's a lot of relationship stuff. Oh, marriage is hard and dating's crazy. And they're like, we like this guy. Huh. He's funny. And then you go, and I'm voting for Trump. And they all have a series of mini strokes. Yeah. And that's the best part. It's that betrayal. Oh, yeah.
I'm curious if you would agree with this, because my background was in theater, and we all know that the entertainment industry, the theater, movies, TV, is all, it makes, as far left as can possibly be. Stand-up has always been a little different, and I wonder if you'd agree that part of the reason that stand-up is different is that all of those other things, acting, directing, all of that, you go to college for that. Stand-up is still the part of the entertainment industry where you show up at the club, you put your name down on the list, you get up there. If they laugh, they laugh, and you get invited back, and if they don't laugh, then you don't.
Yes.
Do you think that's part of why there's more diversity ideologically within stand-up?
It's been wild to watch, but yes, absolutely. And I'm not the arbiter of what is funny, but most of the people that I like and respect and have been doing it for a while, if you're thinking like everybody else, and if you're in the same ideological box, you're doing something horribly wrong. Right. And you're not interesting, and you're not really thinking about it. And I worked in Hollywood for a lot of years on a lot of TV shows and would do stand-up on the side. And I did a set about how much I liked George Bush II at the Melrose Improv. I think Michael Knowles was there, and it was just like people were in shock. It was like I had detonated some kind of bomb, and then my phone just started ringing like crazy. With, are you really? Are you really? What? And then when Trump started, it was game over.
Which was worse? Because, I mean, I kind of remember how much George W. was hated. His head on a pike on the Game of Thrones set. Is it really worse with Trump, or is it continuing?
Yes, absolutely. Because it's almost like the left-wing Pope has said it's okay to hate him. You know, before you had like Russell Brand, who's come full circle. Russell Brand was like, you know, oh, that George Bush, he's just a stupid retired cowboy. He's a stupid, he's a moron. And I'm like, these aren't even jokes. They're just insults. So I wanted to go the other way with it because it was also true to how I believe. But with everything changed with Trump and it got vicious.
Very different.
And there was like, is it okay to punch a Nazi? And this guy, and then like, literally, you had like Rachel Maddow practically crying on her show. They're going to send me to a camp.
Yeah. That was actually the funniest comedy bit of the year, in my opinion.
It was great. It was great. Now, what is a camp and how would I survive? More when we come back.
So, do you feel like a true long-term shift happening with comedy where it seemed like you guys were told these are the jokes that are on limits, these are the ones that are off limits, PC culture? Are we out of that phase for stand-ups?
It's beginning. And this is the very funny thing, because like 2014, 2016, 17, it was very, very lonely. And I would tell people, like I'm kind of friends with Greg Gutfeld, and I love all the success that he's had. And it's just, this is the new punk rock. We are on the out, like Johnny Rotten is wearing Make America Great Again shirt. Yeah. Like, we're on the outside looking in, and as a comedian, I love that. That's where I want to be. And so let everybody else do their, I'm in a safe space, I'm going to tell my safe jokes. It's safe, it's predictable, everybody thinks the same way, but I'd rather be here, you know, hanging with you guys and doing free speech.
But those aren't even comedy shows, right? I know exactly what you mean. It's more like Spalding Gray, except Spalding Gray was good and interesting. You know, this is like,
don't hold back. Tell us how you feel.
No, I mean, this is like boring, you know, diversity Spalding Gray, and there are no jokes.
Right.
There's just like,
there's
look at
applause
me
instead of laughter.
Yes.
They're looking for clapping.
I don't understand.
And Bill Maher is realizing it too. It's fun to watch all these people wake up to like, okay, holy smoke, we've been in some kind of weird dreamland where it's not jokes, it's not setup and punch. You're just feeding your audience. Boy, that Trump, he's a bad guy, and then they applaud. So you're not even working at that point.
Do you feel like it's kind of it's not only is it not humor, it's kind of old. Like David and I were talking offset, and we were discussing how like our teenagers are very edgy now, and edgy means right. Edgy means, you know, using sort of right-coded lingo that you weren't able to use like 5 minutes ago. So are you seeing younger people kind of tuning into the comedy you're doing?
It is wild. Yeah, like I was just doing shows here in town with the I have a tour I'm doing, the American Misfits tour, and a lot of young people coming up because they're big. We're Americans. We can take it. Give us the truth. Give us the, you know, the edgy stuff. I want the full comedy experience. When you go in and, you know, you're at the Ha Ha Chuckle Cafe and somebody's like, when I was 12, my aunt didn't hold my hand at the movies. See, like no one laughed at that because it's not funny. So yeah, I'd much rather be out there creating my own stuff, and I love what the Daily Wire's doing with the whole, you know, we'll make our own Hollywood, and there's other groups out there. I'm doing a sketch comedy show called That Show Tonight, and you can, it's like Chappelle meets SNL, and it's like there are no holds barred. Everything is on the table.
We actually have a clip of that show that we're going to play here real quick so our audience
when you watch Chappelle's show.
David, I want to real quick. We're going to play the clip.
Oh, snap!
We're going to play the clip.
Going to a clip
to get to see. Let's throw that up here.
Yeah, I was worried about my dad all the time. Sometimes I'd have to go to an art show at the last minute, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Whew. Then I found a place for Dad. I'm a busy guy. I have a lifestyle. that requires I stay up a lot. Use promo code BIGGUY and you'll save 10%.
How long did this Hunter Biden outfit take to put together?
Well, fortunately, I had my own. You know, it's a jean jacket and a red feather.
That's just how you dress when you're not at the convention?
That's how I roll. Me and Hunter, we're like that.
Why was he allowed to smoke? That's not bad.
David's been asking if he can smoke here on set.
That's great.
Ashtrays everywhere. But.
That's great. So so we started doing that show at this wonderful warehouse space in New York, live studio audience, and it's just kind of taken off, and it's on the internet, and now we're doing it in Nashville at the Redneck Riviera over at John Rich's place, and it's fantastic. It's comedy, it's music, it's sketches, and we're just having a blast, and it's wild because like working in Hollywood for such a long time. I always knew, like, okay, so if you wanted to do something on your own, you would need like at least a space. But like when we started, it's on Studio TST. Yeah. Studio TST is the website, and we had to get our own servers. And it's like I never in my wildest dreams I'm like, okay, what's step one of doing a comedy show? Oh, get your own servers, or Google will censor you, Amazon will unplug you. It's crazy days that we live in. But I love the whole underground alternative edginess of the whole thing. Yeah. That's where the fun is, man.
Yeah. And do you feel a freedom there where you're not having to work with these, Netflix executives that are maybe scratching out some of your jokes?
Yes.
You feel a freedom where you say, I can do whatever I want, say what I want. I have my own website now.
I'm telling you, I told myself that I would never go back and write on another show in Hollywood. And then my buddy called me up and he was doing a project for Netflix. And I'm like, okay, I'll help with that because they're not going to be, watching over our shoulders the whole time. You show up and like, it's the same thing. Yeah. It's like they have the executives coming and they're like, it seems like she's a little mean if she says this. And I'm like, well, yeah, she's the villain. Yeah. Well, could we just style? And like, not everybody can be nice. You don't know how the basic dynamics of comedy or drama. So yeah, I'm much happier doing that show tonight.
You
doing my own
look much
thing.
happier playing a crack addict.
Hunter is a lot of things. Yeah. He's not sad.
What kind of research did you have to do to live the part of Hunter Biden?
And that's all the time. Michael Loftus, thank you so much for joining us. And you'll be on Gutfeld tonight.
Yes.
So everyone make sure to go watch
him there. If I make it through security.
If he makes it through security, if they don't confuse you for Hunter Biden, that might present some problems.
But we'll be wearing the jock strap and the jean jacket.
So we will leave it there. Michael Loftus, you can watch him tonight on Gutfeld. Thank you so much for joining us. David Marcus, I'm Cabot Phillips with Megan Basham.
And now we actually have to leave our show because it is time to throw you to the floor of the RNC convention for all of the live streaming action. And we're going to keep live streaming all week, so stay here with us every day to see what's going on the big show. Thanks so much.
Credit for it. Look. Yeah, I heard a little bit earlier today, if you don't vote for Donald Trump, you ain't black. But see, here's the thing. By the grace of God and the proven leadership of Donald Trump, for every American, regardless of race, color, and creed, we can once again have a land where a child's outcome isn't determined by their zip code. We can once again have a land where hard work truly does get you ahead. We can once again have a land where you can go from poverty to prosperity in a single generation. I believe that land is still America. America is the greatest idea that's ever been. America, I believe deeply in my heart, America is the greatest idea that's ever been. It's worth fighting for, it's worth sacrificing for, and it's worth getting out to vote for, because I truly believe in the deepest heart of hearts that with Donald J. Trump back in the White House, the best is yet to come. God bless you. Thank you. God bless America.
To show families just how much more they're spending on gas under Biden and Harris than they did under President Trump, we placed these signs at gas pumps. When President Trump left office, gas cost only $2.20. Under Biden and Harris, gas skyrocketed to the highest price in history, over $5 a gallon.
$5 a gallon is the highest historically it's ever been. It hurts my heart, it hurts my budget, it just hurts.
I've never seen it this high before, with the gas prices being the way that they are.
They're terrible. They're outrageous, overpriced.
Our paychecks are like a third of what they used to be just because of gas prices. We have to choose between, am I going to fill up my car all the way or am I going to buy a prescription?
Whenever Trump was in office, it took me about $45 to fill up, and now it's about $75 to $80. A lot of pain every time you go to the gas pump, and I know I'm not the only one that feels it.
Within my first year of driving, I'm having to deal with an average of 503 across the nation.
I feel it every time I fill up.
Well, it certainly affects my saving because it's hard to save when everything you're making is going out for groceries and gasoline.
With the gas costing more, of course the food costs more, and also cuts into doing charitable activities like try to deliver food to needy children.
Families right now are living paycheck to paycheck, and it's going to get worse.
How people with families do it on a normal average income, I don't see how they can pay it and have any money left over even to pay for gas.
I don't think Bidenomics works for anybody. My family can't afford any more of him.
It's impossible to pay $5.03. We need to care about our people better than that.
There are going to be 41 million new Gen Z voters this upcoming election, and when they go to cast their vote, I mean, that's definitely going to take a toll on which way they lean.
I'm voting for Trump because me and my family want to pay this amount for gasoline.
We don't need any more of this. We need more of this.
To show families just how much more they're spending on groceries under Biden and Harris than they did under President Trump, we placed these signs in grocery stores.
You got a 49% increase under Joe Biden.
I mean, a tremendous increase. It just goes on and on.
It's ridiculous.
I have definitely seen a price increase since Biden has been president.
The food prices are astronomical. They're unaffordable.
They're still going up. Every week you see something else that's gone up higher.
It's hurting everybody. From when we were grocery shop, 5-6 years ago, this is not the same grocery store that I remember.
I do without a lot of things that I shouldn't because we can't afford it.
Everything in the store is double the price. I mean, we're talking $600 a week just for my family of 6.
I think it's especially hard on families with children. A lot of people are using food banks that never would have used food banks before.
Living on Social Security or just disability, it's very difficult to be able to maintain the expenses.
I have several elderly friends. They can't even get their medicine some months because they're paying so much for gas and groceries.
When you check out, it's shocking. It's shocking what the increase is. Everything.
Joe Biden's policy, Kamala's policies, they're killing us.
But since Biden's come in, I gotta say it's gotten worse, and they don't even care.
I served this country, and I've seen the biggest change in my entire life in these last 3.5 years. If you want to save this country, you need to vote for President Trump.
Please welcome American mother, Sarah Workman.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Workman from the great state of Arizona. I'm honored to be here tonight on behalf of everyday Americans. I'm a single mother who works 2 jobs to support my family. I know Americans can relate when I say that every time I fill up my gas tank, go to the grocery store, and try to pay the bills, I think, who doesn't miss the Trump days? But it's not just the economic pain we're all feeling under Joe Biden. It's how they're destroying the American spirit. Everywhere we look, there's pain, chaos, and crisis. Inflation, open borders, woke indoctrination in our schools, violence in our cities, and unjust rulings in our courts. All of it is eroding one of America's greatest strengths, our optimism. While the left is trying to divide us with identity politics, we are here tonight because we believe that America is always, should be, one nation under God. In addition to the economic pain, the Democrats' open border policies have shattered my family. With drugs so readily available, my husband fell victim to the drug epidemic. It tore our family apart, and now I raise my son alone. But I know there is hope. That is what this election represents for all of us who have been forgotten over the last 4 years. Hope. We need God in our hearts and Donald Trump back in the White House. If you're watching tonight and you hear your own story and mine, Donald Trump put me on this stage to show that he hears us, he sees us, and we are forgotten no more. I find peace in God's promise that says, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray, I will heal your nation. Amen. With faith, hope, and love in my heart, I know we will make America great again.
Please welcome United States Senator Katie Britt of Alabama.
Good evening, Milwaukee. I'm Katie Britt. We are all here tonight for one reason. We need to change the direction of our nation. And Donald Trump is the change we need. To my fellow moms and dads across America, I think we all know that raising a family is hard. Add in smartphones and social media, and we already had plenty to worry about. But then Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came around. Now our lives are that much more difficult and way more expensive. Under Biden-Harris, prices are high, and expectations, well, they're low. Grocery prices are up more than 21%. Electricity is up 31%. Gas is up 48%. Mortgage rates have more than doubled, and rent is skyrocketing. To me, these aren't just numbers. This is pain for millions of Americans. It means that so many American families have to live with so much less. This is too high a price to pay for an administration that has brought us to such lows. The American people won't have the wool pulled over our eyes. We see how Biden and Harris keep making things worse. And we know the current president is not capable of turning things around. His weakness is costing us our opportunity, our prosperity, our security, our safety. Each diminished, all in decline, just like the man in the Oval Office. And it doesn't have to be this way. Under President Trump, we had the strongest economy in history. That's right. You didn't need to go into debt just to make ends meet. Energy dominant, stable prices, secure borders, safe streets, strong families and communities. That's what Donald Trump will deliver. With President Trump, the tough choice was which job offer to accept. Now, it's which second job to take just to pay the bills. Your family can't afford this costly and dangerous decline for 4 more years. 4 more years of Biden-Harris will impose a lifetime of financial damage on our children and our nation. It is time to return President Trump to the White House. Yes. Republicans will put parents, families, and hard-working Americans first. With President Trump back in the White House, we will reawaken the exceptionalism of the greatest nation ever known. We will defeat decline, dust off our dreams, and forge our future. Because families across our nation deserve better. Once again, America will be the land of limitless opportunity for all. And paving that path starts today. So let's roll up our sleeves, send President Trump back to the White House, and get America back on track. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome United States Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina.
Wow. 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 Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello, Milwaukee! Are you ready for 4 more years of Donald Trump? Oh, me too. Listen, if you didn't believe in miracles before Saturday, you better be believing right now. Thank God Almighty that we live in a country that still believes in the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the Alpha and the Omega. And our God still saves, He still delivers, and He still sets free. Because on Saturday, the devil came to Pennsylvania holding a rifle, but an American lion got back up on his feet and he roared. Oh yeah, he roared. Yeah, yes he did. You see, America, this is a difficult time for our nation. Inflation is crushing families. Illegal immigration is crushing American workers. Failing schools and victimhood culture are crushing our poorest kids. And the weakness of the commander-in-chief has invited world wars all around our world. Joe Biden is asleep at the wheel, and we're headed over a cliff. We hear despair in the voices of a millennial couple raising 2 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment because they can't afford a house. We see pain on the faces of Gold Star parents because their commander-in-chief, Joe Biden, literally forgets their son died in uniform on his watch. America, we deserve better. We deserve so much better. I was raised by a single mom in poverty. We had plastic spoons, not silver spoons. But she taught me to work hard, to take responsibility, and reject victimhood. Thank God for my wonderful mama. I know this is going to offend the liberal elites. Every time I say it, it offends them. But let me say it one more time. America is not a racist country. No, we're not. But if you were looking for racism today, you'd find it in cities run by Democrats. Look on the south side of Chicago. Poor black kids trapped in failing schools. Thousands shot every single year, including one of my former interns, Daquan. But there's good news. It's conservative values that restores hope. It's Republican policies that lifts people up. I partnered with the greatest president of my generation, President Donald J. Trump. On the biggest tax cuts ever for working people and single moms, and opportunity zones for neighborhoods that need them most. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they give illegal immigrants free hotel rooms while our veterans sleep on the streets. Disgusting, disgusting. Trump secured our border once, and Donald Trump will secure it again. This November, we are not deciding simply the fate for the next 4 years. We're setting a course for the next 40 years. I see our heartland filled with huge American factories, powered by abundant American energy, building what America needs, creating generational wealth for blue-collar workers. You see, we are the Republican Party of Frederick Douglass and of Abraham Lincoln, of Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. But for leaders. I love it. Awesome. We are not simply the party of our leaders. We are also the party of a young woman in Wisconsin taking over her family farm, an Hispanic father working 16-hour days in Nevada, and a black teenager in Philly starving for opportunity. We're not just the grand old party of the past. We are the great opportunity party of America's future. And there's only, hear me clearly, and there's only one person who can make that vision a reality: Donald J. Trump. God bless America.
This is the man responsible for your family's home economy. He can't even walk up steps or put on his own coat. Biden's incompetence is financially crushing Americans. One of Biden's first acts as president was to raise taxes, then create a new army of IRS agents to go get the money. Biden's inflation tax costs American families more than $11,000 a year. Under Biden, the highest inflation in 40 years, sickening grocery prices, highest gas prices in history, while Americans' incomes have fallen 3 straight years. Now, Biden's proposing a new $4.9 trillion tax hike, the largest ever, $36,000 per American family, and an end to the Trump tax cuts. It's obvious Biden must be fired. President Trump didn't just give us the strongest economy in the world, he gave us the largest tax cuts in history. And he'll do it again, including bringing back the Trump tax cuts for your family. President Trump's also going to provide economic relief for millions of American service workers who have been ignored by Biden.
You're looking at America's service workers. And they're over 150 million strong. Waitresses and waiters. Drivers and doormen. Bartenders and baristas. And like so many others in Joe Biden's America, they're struggling economically. The majority now live paycheck to paycheck. Their credit card balances at record highs, at astronomical interest rates, and their incomes are down 3 straight years. The good news? Help is on the way. President Trump's economic plan to restart America includes no tax on tips earned by our service workers. A huge financial shot in the arm. You see, unlike Biden, President Trump doesn't want these Americans to just survive. He wants them to thrive. President Trump, he'll make America affordable again.
Please welcome the Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin.
Yes, Joe must go. Good evening. I'm Glenn Youngkin, the governor. The governor of the home of Washington, Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe, the great Commonwealth of Virginia. Tonight, we stop for a moment. We ask for God's grace to be on innocent victims. We ask him to be with their families. We thank him for this moment of unity. And we thank him for protecting our next president, Donald J. Trump. And tonight, our nation can have the conversation that so many families have at their kitchen tables. Yes, those tough conversations. How do we make it all work? The conversation young families from Midlothian, Virginia to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, whose dreams of buying a home have been shattered by 7.5% mortgage rates. The veterans from Fredericksburg, Virginia to Phoenix, Arizona, whose raises can't keep up with 30% increases in grocery prices and 40% increases in gas. The retirees from Roanoke, Virginia to Reno, Nevada, whose fixed income has been crushed by the silent thief of inflation unleashed by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Tonight, America, the land of opportunity, just doesn't feel like that anymore. But 8 years ago, there was an outsider, a businessman, who stepped out of his career to rebuild a great nation with the strongest economy, the mightiest military, energy independence, unlimited opportunity, lifting up every American. That outsider businessman was Donald J. Trump, and he will do it again. I'm proud to be a homegrown Virginian, from a family like a lot of families, with ups and downs and highs and lows. My mom was a nurse, and she was my hero. She pulled our family together after my dad lost his job. At 15, washing dishes and flipping eggs, I learned that there is dignity in work. At the height of the pandemic 4 years ago, I asked my amazing wife, Suzanne, to go on a walk with me. I told her I planned to quit my job and run for governor. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and a quivering lip and asked, "Governor of what?" We prayed together, and we asked God for guidance and wisdom, and we said if elected, we would serve. After 12 years of only electing Democrats statewide, in November 2021, Virginians elected a Republican outside businessman as their 74th governor. And I believe this year, Virginia will elect another Republican outside businessman as President of the United States. President Trump proved that common sense conservative leadership works. It works for America. And we're proving it in Virginia, too. $5 billion of tax relief, backing the blue. Slashing red tape, declaring loudly that, yes, parents matter. And creating jobs, lots of jobs. Virginia now has record job growth, and we were just named America's top state for business. Friends, could this election be more simple? It's common sense versus chaos. It's strength versus weakness. Friends, it's not just Republicans who see this. It's Republicans, independents, and lots of Democrats. It's Americans. Under President Trump, America had high growth and low inflation. Under Joe Biden, America has low growth and high inflation. 66% of Americans now live paycheck to paycheck. Moms and dads worrying, can they buy new shoes for their kids going back to school? Can they write the tuition check for college? Will they ever be able to retire? Under President Trump, 2.4 million Americans were lifted out of poverty. Women, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans all saw record low employment. Under Donald J. Trump, we once again will have that rip-roaring economy that lifts up all Americans. That is our tomorrow. A tomorrow where work is celebrated, where taxes are cut, and inflation is slashed, where we cut red tape, where we unleash American energy dominance, where businesses proudly say, "Made in America." Where entrepreneurs dream, and small businesses thrive, where Americans from any background can pour their God-given talents into building their American dream. This is the moment. This is our moment to make America the land of opportunity again. A nation built on a basic truth, that we are granted certain unalienable rights, not by a king, but by an almighty creator. And that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our foundational principles are non-negotiable. They are inscribed on our national soul. My fellow Americans, the spirit of hope is spreading. Everyone can feel it, and it will sweep across this nation when we elect Donald J. Trump, the 47th President of the United States. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Please welcome the CEO of Boya Foods, America First Policy Institute board member, and chairman of the Hispanic Leadership Coalition, Mr. Bob Unanue.
Buenas noches, familia. Good evening, family. Wow. Gracias. 4 years ago, I dared to say that we were blessed by Donald J. Trump, a builder. Got into trouble for that. But more than a builder, he's a courageous leader. And he will bring this nation closer to God. He will bring strength to America. And he will bring prosperity back to America. And that's what my grandfather did as a 17-year-old in 1903. He packed his clothes and his dreams in a suitcase, and he got aboard a steamship. Like millions of other immigrants, he sought nothing more than a chance to build a better life. His American dream began when he opened a small grocery store in Manhattan. With love and determination, he built it into the largest Hispanic-owned food company in the United States. Boya Foods grew as the Latino community flourished. The Latino community is diverse, but we are united in our values that include an unwavering faith in God, and an abiding love of family, and a fierce work ethic. We want the freedom to worship, to love, and to work in a way that gives us purpose, gives us a reason to get up every day. The Biden-Harris administration disrespects our values and has abused our community. They buried our businesses with inflation and government red tape. They even used the FBI to go after traditional Catholics as if we were terrorists. They put out the welcome mat for drug cartels. Biden's open-door policies is all the more insidious because it's couched in soft terms like compassion and sanctuary. In reality, it is cruel. Joe Biden's open southern border facilitates the largest criminal enterprise in the world, which disproportionately victimizes Latinos, especially children. Last year, an HHS whistleblower testified that the United States was the middleman in a large-scale child trafficking operation that has lost track of 85,000 children, a number too large for most football stadiums. Our border czar, Kamala Harris, that means so bad, and we have enough bad, we need some good, we need goodness, was missing in action. Many Latinos came to America from countries where the few exploit and control the many. Today's Democratic Party sees this as their path to maintain power. Instead of lifting people out of poverty, their policies are making our lives worse. For many Latinos, it's déjà vu, although even though that's French. I don't know how to say that in Spanish, I'm sorry. The Cuban philosopher Jose Marti said, mankind is composed of two sorts of men, those who love and create and those who hate and destroy. Joe Biden and his allies show contempt for anyone who disagrees with them. Their hatred of Donald Trump knows no bounds. Their radical policies are wrecking our economy and destroying our lives. On the other hand, Donald Trump loves this country. He loves us, and he knows how to build and create. He understands that lasting prosperity is built on a foundation of family, faith, work, and freedom. And not the quicksand of government handouts. He believes we are blessed by God, and with a firm belief that with God, all things are possible, he will make America great again. Love you guys. Love you guys.
Everyone's watching. See what you do. Everyone's looking at you. piece of my heart. You never stop from the start. You wanna be in the show. Oh, baby, let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota.
Good evening. You all look fantastic. I love the cowboy hats. And a shout out to South Dakota. Hi. Woo. Listen, I'm Governor Kristi Noem from the great state of South Dakota. Leadership has consequences. It matters who's in the White House. Now, I've been governor under both President Trump and Joe Biden. And people ask me all the time, what's the biggest difference? And I tell them that President Trump honored the Constitution. He let me do my job. And he let me keep my people free. Now, leadership on the state level, it matters too. It certainly mattered in South Dakota. I am so proud to say that South Dakota's strong economy has been a beacon of freedom for America. Most of you probably first heard about me during COVID, didn't you? Because South Dakota was the only state in the country that stayed open for business. We didn't mandate anything. We never ordered a single business or a church to close. I never even defined what an essential business was, because I don't believe that the government has the authority to tell you that your business isn't essential. When other states were pushing mandates and lockdowns, instead in South Dakota, we hit the gas. We embraced liberty. We told our story and we invited people to come and to enjoy our beautiful state. Now, all of the things that conservatives have always talked about, we just did it, and it worked. Our economy took off, and since I've been governor, we broke the national record for the lowest unemployment rate in American history at 1.8%. In South Dakota, everybody works. We paid off state debts and bonds. We fixed dams and bridges. We built roads. We have a fully funded pension plan and a AAA credit rating. We broke records for surpluses, and we balance our budget every single year. And last year in South Dakota, we passed the largest tax cut in South Dakota history. Under my administration, incomes in our state have gone up 36%. Women-owned businesses are thriving. We also have the highest birth rate in the nation. People are having babies because they're happy. And in South Dakota, we love babies. Our mental health challenges have gone down, our suicide rates are declining, and we are the #1 state in the country for a decline in overdoses because people have hope. We're growing so fast that we needed more workers to catch up. So we launched the most successful workforce recruitment campaign in the history of South Dakota. And they have come by the thousands to join us and to live with us. Do you guys remember those ads when I was a really lousy plumber and a really terrible electrician? Do you remember those? Well, since we started those ads, we have seen a 78% increase in licensed plumbers in the state of South Dakota. We've seen a 44% increase in electricians in our state. Now, people aren't moving to South Dakota for our beaches or for our beautiful January weather. They are moving to our state for opportunity and for freedom. And all of this happened because our people were bold. We took action, and I was strong. Now, South Dakota proved that freedom will make America wealthy again. And with President Trump in the White House, with Senator J.D. Vance by his side, we will prove it across America. Listen, 2 days ago, the whole world changed. Evil displayed itself in the very worst way, through a cowardly act. An innocent American lost his life, and we will continue to lift his family up in our prayers every single day. Prior to this week, we already knew that President Donald Trump was a fighter. He is the toughest man that I have ever met. Nobody has endured more than what he has gone through. They've attacked his reputation, they impeached him, they tried to bankrupt him, and they unjustly prosecuted him. But even in the most perilous moment this week, his instinct was to stand and to fight. Donald J. Trump is our man in the arena. He will never stop fighting for us. He will never stop, and now he is bringing all of us together. Now, I know that many of you are angry, but now is the time to unite. And we have to get to work. We have to win the hearts and minds of every single American. Wake them up with truth and with wisdom. We need to listen to them. You can't win people over by arguing with them. Visit with your neighbors, at your job, at your church, at the gas station, or even at the grocery store. Listen, there are moments in our history, often after great hardship and tragedy, when true leaders unite our country. At one time, President Lincoln, he united our country. He delivered my favorite presidential address of all time. In fact, it's the only speech or poem or song that I ever made my kids memorize when they were young, when they were little. It was the Gettysburg Address, and it was delivered during our nation's bloodiest conflict. That speech so inspired people that they continued to fight for years, and they lost loved ones in order to preserve this union we call the United States of America. Now, at that time, President Lincoln encouraged us to take increased devotion, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that a government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. Like Lincoln, in the midst of our pain and division, Donald Trump is calling us to be touched by the better angels of our nature. As Paul wrote in 2 Timothy, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. We must not be afraid. Even in our darkest days, we have never once given up hope. So don't quit on America. If we lose this country, where else will we go that provides more freedom and opportunity for our kids and our grandkids? And I've got 3 grandkids, and I'm counting on a whole lot more. And yes, democracy can be messy, but there is a great invisible strength to a people's union. We have shown the world that we can endure sacrifice and that we can still unite. We should still aspire to be worthy of this union, America. President Donald J. Trump is the leader we need for such a time as this. So now, I need you to get to work. Get out there, go do it. Don't quit. Keep fighting, keep uniting, keep talking to people, win the hearts and minds, and may God bless you, and may God continue to bless the great United States of America. Thank you.
Donald Trump's surprise visit to a construction site. Hundreds of cheering union members turned out to meet the former president. It was quite a scene.
These are hardworking New Yorkers, okay, union members who have been working on this big construction site here in Midtown Manhattan near Trump Tower.
I think these maybe were Democrats, but for me, they're a Republican. We built a lot of great buildings in the city with these people, and they've given me great support. They're very, very talented people. They don't get the credit for it. They have very few people can do what they do.
These union workers who are here to talk to the president are paying the price of failed economic policies currently in the country.
And you heard in New York City chants of "We want Trump."
We want Trump. We want Trump.
A lot of people are talking about how unusual it is to see so many Trump supporters in Manhattan at 4, 5, 6 in the morning. Does that surprise you?
No, absolutely not.
President Trump is leading Joe Biden 3-1 on my presidential poll out of my 9,000 members.
Trump's turn again. What's your message to Joe Biden?
You. We're a very patriotic group, and we love our country, and we want the best for America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bobby Bartles Jr., Business Manager of Steamfitters Local 638.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bobby Bartels. I'm a proud member of Steamfitters Local Union 638. And like many of my fellow union members, I've been a Democrat my whole life. And like so many of my fellow union members, we have come to expect empty promises from Democratic politicians. In 1986, after a decade of Democratic politicians' mismanagement, Central Park's iconic Wollman Ice Rink had fallen into an unusable state of disrepair. Politicians made promise after promise to fix the rink, and yet they did nothing. That's when Donald Trump stepped up. He wasn't mayor, he wasn't running for anything, but he was a guy who cared about people, and he knew how to get a job done. He put his money and his reputation on the line and committed to getting it built. He did it using skilled local union labor like the men of Local 638. Together, we worked tirelessly on that project, completing it on time and ensuring kids would be skating that fall on that rink. And a quick note to President Biden, that involved working outside the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Early one hot summer morning on that job, I saw Donald Trump visiting the site. I yelled out, "Are you here to buy us coffee?" President walked right over. He wasn't the president at the time, but he walked right over, grinning, and handed me some cash and told us it was too hot for coffee. Go buy sandwiches and drinks for everyone. Now, more than ever, we need a president who knows how to get things done. We have an open border inviting illegal immigrants to take our American jobs and lower our wages. Out of control inflation is squeezing budgets, and both violent crime and drug epidemic are pushing people out of our cities, all while Democrats do nothing. That's why this union Democrat will be voting Trump along So that's why this union Democrat, along with many of my local union members, will be voting Trump this November. So that we can take back the middle class, take back the country, and rebuild the middle class that my union has helped build over so many years. God bless America. Thank you.
Please welcome Congressman Byron Donalds of Florida.
Good evening, Milwaukee. You know, Milwaukee, we're on live television. You gotta let me get to the speech now. Thank you. I'm Byron Donalds, and I come from the great state of Florida. And I proudly represent the people of Southwest Florida. But I was raised by a single mother in Brooklyn, New York. Life was hard, and we struggled. When I was in the first grade, my mother took me out of public school because she could see that public education was failing me. I needed to be challenged, and I needed the opportunity that only a private school could provide. My mother is an educator, and she truly believed in my potential. But Democrat politicians wanted to trap me in a failing school, but my mom fought for me. Mom, I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you, Mom. Words cannot describe how deeply grateful I am to be your son. When I was in the 7th grade, my mom lost her job. We went on government assistance, and my grandma helped us pay for private school. My mom and my grandma sacrificed to ensure that I could build a successful future through a commitment to academic achievement and hard work. I'm standing here today as a result of their love, good and safe schools, and great teachers. And to the teachers of America who pour your heart and your soul into your students and teach the next generation to love, honor, and serve our great country, we all say thank you. But what about those kids whose parents can't scrape money together for private school? Don't those kids who grew up like I grew up deserve the same chance that I had? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris sent their kids to high-priced private schools. But since they are in the pocket of the far-left teachers' unions, they trap poor kids like me in failing schools with no way out. They say they're pro-choice, but not if you want a choice over what your kids are taught. Donald Trump believes every parent deserves a choice, and every child deserves a chance. And in November, when Donald Trump is elected, our nation's 47th president, we will make sure all America's children get that chance. Growing up poor, I know the pain of high food prices, high energy prices, and housing costs. I remember as a kid, my mom yelling at me, "Turn off that light, you don't pay the bill." We know there's a bunch of kids in America today who are hearing that from their parents. The massive inflation created by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris has only made it worse. During my first term in Congress, I served on the Budget Committee and the Small Business Committee. We told Joe Biden that his so-called American Rescue Plan was going to cause inflation. The Biden-Harris administration told us not to worry, but I knew better. I have nearly 2 decades of experience as a financial professional, and the evidence is in. Go to any grocery store, buy eggs, buy beef, buy milk. Even housing prices have skyrocketed. All Americans deserve a shot at the American dream. But under Joe Biden's debilitating economic policies, far many Americans, far too many of them, that dream has slipped away. This shows that we were right, that Joe Biden was wrong, and that you, the American people, are paying the price. As Americans, we've all been struggling. The disastrous results of the Biden-Harris agenda transcend race, religion, or income. But under President Trump, all of this will change. And if there was ever a time in our nation to come together, that time is now. With Trump, our economy will boom again. You will have more money in your pocket again. And your children will have a future again. Together, I know we will make America wealthy again. And together, America, we will make America great again. God bless you, Milwaukee. God bless the United States of America.
Something everyone should see. Neon lights and a pretty
Please welcome business leader and host of the All In podcast.
Good evening, America. Good evening, America. I'm David Sachs, a legal immigrant who worked hard to achieve the American dream. Thank you. Now I'm concerned those same opportunities won't be there for future generations. As I look out at this convention, I see a party that is strong and unified behind President Donald J. Trump and his pick for Vice President, Senator J.D. Vance. And what about the Democrats? They're in disarray after shielding President Biden from a vigorous primary and gaslighting the entire country about his fitness to serve. We still don't know which puppet Democrat Party bosses will install as their nominee, but we know what their agenda will be. 4 more years of chaos and failure, both at home and abroad. In my hometown of San Francisco, Democrat rule has turned the streets of our beautiful city into a cesspool of crime, homeless encampments, and open drug use. Democrats, led by border czar Kamala Harris, have allowed millions of illegal migrants to invade our country. They tasked Homeland Security not with stopping the illegal aliens, but with busing them all over our country. Democrats have recklessly spent trillions of dollars of wasteful and unnecessary government programs, setting off the worst inflation since Jimmy Carter. But worst of all, the Biden-Harris administration has taken a world that was at peace under President Trump, and they lit it on fire. First, President Biden botched the Afghanistan withdrawal, displaying incompetence and weakness for the whole world to see. Then, he provoked the Russians to invade Ukraine with talk of NATO expansion. Afterward, he rejected every opportunity for peace in Ukraine, including a deal to end the war just 2 months after it broke out. Now the war is deep into its third year, with no end in sight. Hundreds of thousands of people are dead. Hundreds of billions of our taxpayer dollars have gone up in smoke. President Biden sold us this new forever war by promising it would weaken Russia and strengthen America. Well, how does that look today? Russia's military is bigger than before, while our own stockpiles are dangerously depleted. Every day, there are new calls for escalation, and the world looks on in horror as Joe Biden's demented policy takes us to the brink of World War III. In the Middle East, America is now losing a war with the Houthis. And the administration's policy towards Gaza has been so incoherent that the only thing that pro-Israel and pro-Palestine protesters agree on is the chant, F Joe Biden. Rather than bolstering confidence in American leadership, as he promised, President Biden has become the symbol of an America in decline. This may be our present, but it does not have to be our future. We can replace the Biden-Harris cabal with a president who is strong and smart, rather than sleepy and senile. Or, in her case, clueless and embarrassing. A president who understands that you build the most powerful military in the world to keep America safe, not to play the world's policeman. A president who is willing to talk to adversaries as well as friends, because that is the only way to make peace. A president who will stand up to the warmongers instead of empowering them. My fellow Americans, we need a leader who commands respect and demands reciprocity from other nations. We need strength and savviness in the White House Situation Room, even if the crisis hits after Biden's bedtime. We need a president who can be president and lead, not a puppet controlled by his or her staff. We need order in our cities. order at our border, and order restored to a world on fire. My friends, we need President Donald J. Trump back in the White House. Thank you.
Please welcome women's advocate Vanessa Fora.
Wow, you all look wonderful, beautiful from here. Look at that crowd. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, America. My name is Vanessa Fora. I was born in Peru, and my family migrated legally to the United States when I was 9 years old. Like millions of legal immigrants, my family didn't begin our pursuit of the American dream by breaking the law. We respected America, and we wanted to earn our citizenship. When we arrived in the Bronx, we lived on the 6th floor of a graffiti-painted building. Both my parents worked 2 jobs. At 18, I achieved one of my greatest aspirations. I became a United States citizen. I asked my father which party I should join. He said that we're Hispanics, we vote Democrat. But the more I learned, the more I saw that the Democratic Party didn't represent my values. Republicans did. I believe that the most important institution is the family, that the U.S. Constitution is the greatest document in history, and that every human being, born and unborn, is made in the image of God. Today, I'm proud to be part of an organization that protects the freedoms and opportunities of women across America. I've had the honor of meeting thousands of moms. Since Biden took office, I've heard one message from mothers from all backgrounds. The cost of living is making it harder to meet basic needs. Moms are reaching down the bottom shelf to just save 35 cents. Grandmothers who should be enjoying their golden years are working again to barely make ends meet. Under the Biden-Harris agenda, we're no longer living, we're surviving. It feels more and more like I'm back in Latin America. Under President Trump, Hispanics' unemployment reached record lows, and our income reached a record high. To my fellow Hispanic Americans and to all Americans, if you believe in faith, family, freedom, financial stability, join me in voting for Donald Trump this November. Thank you, America.
Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Kirk.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. Together, the largest conservative grassroots organizations in the country. Thanks to our work, I talk to a lot of young people on campuses, at our events, on my radio show, podcast, and social media. Said differently, I visit college campuses so you don't have to. I hear a lot from young people about their hopes, their dreams, and their fears. You see, young people are idealists. They respond to vision. For the past 4 years, they've seen the vision of the Biden-Harris regime. That vision is you'll own nothing and be happy. The Democrats say instead of owning a home, you'll rent a 400 square foot studio apartment. Instead of owning a car, you'll rent a scooter using some app. Their vision is this: limit your dreams, give up, aim lower, be content with less. If you're a 20-something in America, life has been really tough. You've watched home prices rise 47% since 2020, 47%. Home ownership is now out of reach unless you make over $106,000 a year. Since I last spoke at the Republican convention 4 years ago, I've become a husband and father. In fact, we have 2 under 2. I think I get extra points for that. For millions of people my age, that is a dream that feels farther away than ever under the Biden-Harris administration. According to current projections, 1/3 of today's young Americans will never get married. The average American is having fewer children than ever before. Why? It's because for far too many, they simply can't afford them. The basic things our parents enjoyed are increasingly out of reach for Gen Z and millennials. You see, the American dream has become a luxury item for the wealthy elite. Happy countries have children. Broken countries have addiction, depression, and suffering. Democrats have given hundreds of billions of dollars to illegals and foreign nations, while Gen Z has to pinch pennies just so that they can never own a home, never marry, and work until they die, childless. Under Biden, our young people own nothing and they are miserable. Donald Trump refuses to accept this fake, pathetic, mutilated version of the American dream. When he was president, young people were richer than ever before, and he will do it again. Donald Trump is on a rescue mission to revive your birthright, one your grandparents and those before them gave everything to hand down to you. And listen carefully, everybody. This is why young men are the most conservative that they have been in 50 years. To all the Gen Zers watching this convention on TikTok right now, I have a message just for you. You don't have to stay poor. You don't have to accept being worse off than your parents. You don't have to feel aimless and unhappy. You don't have to support leaders who lied to you and took advantage of you for your vote. America's future is a series of choices. Our current state of slow motion national decline is a choice. This November, we're going to choose success. We're going to choose to put the future of Americans first. We are going to choose to no longer be spectators this election. We together are going to do the work to save America. We are going to choose to work harder than ever before, to chase ballots, to vote early, to register new voters. And all of us together, working harder than ever, we will fire the Biden-Harris regime and put Donald Trump back in the White House where he belongs. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
On the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, I believe that we're going to have 4 of the greatest years in the history of our country. I will once and for all secure our elections. We're going to go to paper ballots. We're going to have same-day voting, voter ID. We're going to do it properly. We're going to have good, secure, beautiful elections. We never want what happened in 2020 to happen again. But until then, Republicans must win. and we must use every appropriate tool available to beat the Democrats. They are destroying our country. Whether you vote early, absentee, by mail, or in person, we are going to protect the vote. That's the most important thing we have to do, is protect the vote. Keep your eyes open, because these people want to cheat, and they do cheat, and frankly, it's the only thing they do well. We will make sure your ballot is secure and your voice is heard. Many Republicans like to vote on Election Day, and we must swamp the radical Democrats with massive turnout on Tuesday, November 5th. The way you win is to swamp them. If we swamp them, they can't cheat. It just doesn't work out. But if you can't make it, you need to make a plan, register, and vote any way possible. We got to get your vote. So with your vote, we will win a victory the likes of which no one has ever seen before. We will evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House, and we will take back our country on November 5th, 2024, the most important day in the history of our country. That's what it's going to go down as. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chair of the RNC Committee on the Platform, United States Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee.
What a great evening it is. I am Marsha Blackburn from the great state of Tennessee. And yes, last week I did have the honor of chairing the Republican Platform Committee. We produced a different kind of platform, one that is dedicated to the forgotten men and women of America. People like Brad Bordeaux, a small businessman from White Bluff, Tennessee. Brad leads Bordeaux Metals. By the end of the Obama-Biden administration, high taxes, massive government spending, and over-regulation almost put him out of business. But things changed when we elected Donald Trump. Thanks to President Trump's tax and regulation cuts, Brad and those that worked for him prospered. He hired new workers, expanded the business. Life was good and getting better. But Bidenomics was a four-letter word for Bordeaux Metals. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, their high inflation, high interest, high taxes, and Green New scam are destroying small businesses. Biden and Harris outsourced our energy supply, driving electricity prices up over 29%. The day Joe and Kamala walked into office, gas was $2.40 a gallon. Today, it is $3.54. Our platform says we will make America energy dominant. You know? And let me hear you now. You know who will make that happen? Donald Trump. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris also think that small business owners are wealthy and they should pay their fair share. We all know that's the left-wing code for you gotta pay more taxes. Well, in Tennessee, I led the fight against a proposed state income tax. We killed that thing. We are income tax free in Tennessee. So when Donald Trump was president, I helped him spread economic prosperity with the largest tax cut in American history. Now, President Trump will make those tax cuts permanent. But if Joe and Kamala are reelected, they say they're going to let them expire. That will be the biggest tax increase in American history. Our party's platform commits to making the Trump tax cuts permanent. And you know, You know who will return us to an era of prosperity? Donald Trump. Now, Joe and Kamala, bless their hearts, they couldn't help themselves. They hired 85,000 new IRS agents to harass hard-working Americans. IRS penalties have surged 300%. And they're not on big corporations. They're on gig workers, freelancers, small business owners, and the self-employed. Let me ask you a question. Who is going to look at those 85,000 IRS agents and say, "You're fired"? Donald Trump. Under Biden and Harris, people are also crushed by more regulations than at any time since Jimmy Carter. Their regulations aren't just burdensome. Often, they include racist DEI requirements. Many small businesses are going bankrupt. Some are throwing up their hands in disgust. Our party's platform pledges 7 times to cut regulations that are killing jobs and costing you thousands of dollars. Now, you know who will slash that red tape and return this country to economic greatness? Donald Trump. The harmful Biden-Harris policies are why so many small business owners, like Shayna Gray, she is a black female owner of Great Jet Cafe right here in Milwaukee. She voted for Biden in 2020, and in 24, she is voting for President Donald Trump. Our platform is a promise to people like Shayna, people like Brad, and President Trump will keep his promises just like he did the first time. So I've got one more question for you. Who should be the next President of the United States? Donald Trump. God bless you, protect you, and God bless and protect the United States. Thank you.
Now
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lee Greenwood.
Hello, RNC. Is there any doubt who's going to be the next president of the United States? Prayer works. This nation based on faith. Prayer works. Because he was sure, as Donald Trump turned his head just slightly, that the bullet missed him just enough to save his life to be the next president of the United States. We have believed for so long that God will make some changes in this country, and he's about to make a change in the current administration and send them home. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. Tonight we make the decision on what's right for America. More prosperity, less gas prices, less food prices, help for our veterans, and God bless our military wherever they are in these United States and abroad. There would be no wars.
Ladies and gentlemen,
President Trump
please welcome the next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again, just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. There ain't no doubt I love this land. Sing it! God bless the USA. We are here tonight for one purpose, and that is to elect Donald J. Trump as the next president of the United States. He is here tonight to show his courage, his defiance against somebody who tried to kill him. You will not take this man down. He has the courage, the strength, and he will be the next president of the United States. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea. Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th President of the United States and soon to be the 47th President of the United States, please welcome Donald J. Trump. There ain't no
Please welcome Mark Laws from Cedar Springs, Michigan.
Good evening, I'm Mark Laws and I live in Western Michigan. I'm not a senator or a governor or some other politician, but I'm just a regular guy. But to my kids and my grandkids who call me Peepaw, I'm the guy. I live on a fixed income, so I'm not one of the people that watch their portfolios. No, in the big boy Joe economy, I just worry about getting through the day. But I'm fortunate because I don't have a mortgage. If I did, I'm really not sure how I'd make it. The big boy Joe inflation has turned our dollars into nickels. And in Michigan, we got 180,000 plus people that are in tax lien foreclosure right now. So even though I don't have a mortgage, I still got to pay the government to rent my house. And if I don't, they take it away. When I'm asked how I'm doing, I answer honestly, I say, I'm doing okay. But don't you remember under President Trump, we didn't have to settle for just okay. We were doing great. I wanted to make some improvements to my home, but with inflation and the price of materials, that's not possible. So I don't want to go into debt, so I just put it off. I'd also like to spoil my grandkids with some great Peepaw unique gifts for their birthdays. But with the price of gas and groceries, I don't do that. I settle for a cake and ice cream. Prices keep going up, but my income stays the same. I just keep putting things off, hoping that I'll be able to afford them again someday. It's got me thinking, I've been hoping for better days, but life is happening right now, and we can't waste any more time on the big boy Joe terrible economic policies. We need to bring Donald Trump back right now. We need to know and share the 20 promises that Donald Trump has made. We need to get involved with the Trump 47. And you remember, ballots win elections, so that's the best way to do it. I know a lot of folks just kind of tune the politics out, but we really can't afford to anymore because we're not living in the same country that we grew up in. Cutesy time is over. We need to, all of us, put our shoulder to the wheel and push along and get Mr. Trump, Donald Trump, to be number 47 again. Thank you, and God bless America.
Bidenomics doesn't just have seniors worried. It has them scared to death.
Biden's inflation has retirees at risk of running out of money. The cost of groceries is forcing many seniors to choose between food and their prescriptions. Their Social Security isn't keeping up with inflation. And thanks to Biden and Harris's open border disaster, allowing over 10 million illegals in, the whole Social Security system is at risk. And now, many seniors are also struggling to afford their housing. It's no wonder one advocacy group calls this Biden's war on seniors. President Trump has seniors' backs. He got seniors' Medicare Advantage premiums cut 34%. And he'll fix Biden's broken economy and get inflation down, just like he did before. And President Trump has made it crystal clear he will always protect seniors' Social Security and Medicare and oppose any cuts in their benefits. President Trump, he'll make America affordable again.
Please welcome Benjamin Joseph.
Hello, Michigan. Hello, my fellow patriots. I'm the owner of a home remodeling business that my father Steve started in 1972. During the Trump boom, we were thriving. Under Biden, we are surviving. I know other business owners, like many of you in this room, can relate. With the financial strain caused by the Biden-Harris economy, many clients are tightening their belts, closing their wallets, and cutting back on their home remodeling projects. To keep work coming in, I've had to lower my margins, and I mean lower them. I'm now barely making payroll, and our families just have enough to live on. But we can't build up any savings, and we can't move forward. As parents, we want to provide for our children. But more and more parents like myself have to look their little girl or their little boy in the eye when they're asked for something and say, "We can't afford it." Those 4 words are heartbreaking. We didn't have to say those words under Donald Trump when he was president. That's because Donald Trump is a businessman, not a crooked career politician. President Trump understands what business owners need to succeed because he is a business owner himself and has succeeded. He knew we could create millions of great jobs if given the chance, and we did. The Trump's tax cuts and regulation cuts empowered entrepreneurs like you and me and enabled us to expand our businesses. We need him back in the White House. As a representative of Michigan at this convention, I want to give a special Michigander thank you to President Trump for being our champion. He has inspired so many of us, even in this room, to step up and get involved in the fight to save America. With his leadership and our help, we will make America affordable again, wealthy again, and great again. May God bless each and every one of you. May God bless and continue to protect President Trump and his family. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Please welcome Amber Rose from South Philadelphia.
Hello, my name is Amber Rose. I'm a model and entrepreneur. Thank you. But most importantly, I'm a mother. My whole world revolves around providing for my children, keeping them safe, and giving them an opportunity for a better life. That's something that unites all American parents, whether we're Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, or liberals. We all want a better country for our children. But I'm here tonight to tell you, no matter your political background, that the best chance we have to give our babies a better life is to elect Donald Trump President of the United States. Now, you may be wondering why I'm up here telling you this. I'm no politician, and I don't want to be. But I do care about the truth. And the truth is that the media has lied to us about Donald Trump. I know this because for a long time I believed those lies, so I'm here to set the record straight. The first person I knew who supported Donald Trump was my father. I was shocked. My entire family is racially diverse, and I believed the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong, I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to do their research. I watched all the rallies, and I started meeting so many of you, his red hat wearing supporters. I realized Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love. And that's when it hit me. These are my people. This is where I belong. So I let go of my fear of judgment, of being misunderstood, of getting attacked by the left, and I put the red hat on too. Thank you. Love you too. I never felt more free and more love for my country than I do now. I want to thank my father, who's in the audience tonight, for opening my eyes. He served over 20 years in the U.S. military. Thank you for your service, Dad. I love you, Dad. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you. When I met the president and Melania for the first time, he was kind and generous and funny as hell. Very funny. The First Lady was gracious and smart with a smile that will brighten up any room. If you're watching this tonight, you know our country is in trouble, just like me. When you go to the store and buy food for your family, you're shocked. When you fill up your gas tank, you're pissed. I know I am. And when you turn on the news, you are just exhausted. Inflation is out of control, and you know in your heart it was not like this under Donald Trump. My message to you tonight comes from a humble place. The left told me to hate Trump, and even worse, to hate the other side, the people who support him. When you cut through the lies, you realize the truth. American families were better when Donald Trump was president. We were safer, wealthier, and stronger. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote to put money back in our pockets and good food on our kids' plates. Yes. Or, as Trump would say, it's a vote to make America great again. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Please welcome Latino American Linda Fornos.
Years ago, I left Nicaragua for a better life in a fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Woo! America welcomed me, and I embraced the values of hard work, learning the language, and respecting the laws. It's the American thing to do. In 2022, my 3 boys and I faced a devastating house fire. We lost everything. And starting over in Joe Biden's economy was almost impossible. The Biden economy is driving prices through the roof. Rent, gas, groceries, everything. As a life insurance worker, I see the struggle of people trying to save for their future while barely managing their basic needs. I'm living that same struggle every day. Life is too hard right now. One of my sons works 3 jobs, and the other holds down 2. That makes 6 jobs for 3 people just to survive in Biden's economy. Our open borders are making this problem worse. It's upsetting to see millions of dollars being sent to help immigrants who came here illegally, while hardworking families who did it the right way are left struggling. The fact is that illegal immigration hurts legal immigrants the most. The Biden system is backwards and broken. In Biden's America, opportunities to get ahead are dwindling, and our education system is failing our children. What happened to teaching reading, writing, and math? Now, it's like our kids are getting a degree in pronoun studies. He, she, they, them. I have expected my son to come home with a diploma in advanced day 10 theory. Life was completely different under President Trump. We prosper. To my beloved Latino community, it's time to wake up and smell the cafecito. In 2020, I made a mistake that is hard to admit, especially in this room. In 2020, I voted for Joe Biden. I'm sorry. He has made me regret it. This November, my vote won't be taken for granted. And this time, I won't regret it. Please join me in voting for Donald J. Trump.
Please welcome the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Sean O'Brien.
Greetings, delegates and guests. I'm Sean O'Brien, General President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. I'd like to give my peeps from the greatest state in the nation, Massachusetts, some props. What's up? First, I want to thank the hardworking Teamsters and union members here in Milwaukee who play vital roles in the building and operations of this convention. I also want to thank President Donald Trump for opening the RNC's doors to the Teamsters Union and inviting me to speak before you tonight. I travel all across this country and meet with my members every week. You know what I see? An American worker being taken for granted. Workers being sold out to big banks, big tech, corporates, and the elite. And I'm not the only one who sees this. Everyday families see it. The American people aren't stupid. They know the system is broken. We all know how Washington is run. Working people have no chance of winning this fight. That's why I'm here today. Because I refuse to keep doing the same things my predecessors did. Today, the Teamsters are here to say we are not beholden to anyone or any party. We will create an agenda and work with a bipartisan coalition ready to accomplish something real for the American worker. And I don't care about getting criticized. It's an honor to be the first Teamster in our 121-year history to address the Republican National Convention. Several months ago, I asked the RNC and the DNC for the opportunity to speak. To be frank, when President Trump invited me to speak at this convention, there was political unrest on the left and on the right. Hard to believe. Anti-union groups demanded the president rescind his invitation. The left called me a traitor. And this is precisely why it's so important for me to be here today. Think about this. Think about this. The Teamsters are doing something correct. If the extremes in both parties think I shouldn't be on this stage. President Trump had the backbone to open the doors to this Republican convention, and that's unprecedented. No other nominee in the race would have invited the Teamsters into this arena. Now, you can have whatever opinion you want, but one thing is clear. President Trump is a candidate who is not afraid of hearing from new, loud, and often critical voices. And I think we all can agree, whether people like him or they don't like him, in light of what happened to him on Saturday, he has proven to be one tough SOB. Now, when I won the presidency of the Teamsters in a national election 2.5 years ago, we started reaching across the aisle. In the past, the Teamsters have endorsed GOP candidates, including Nixon, Reagan, and George H.W. Bush. But over the last 40 years, the Republican Party has really pursued strong relationships with organized labor. There are some in the party who stand in active opposition to labor unions. This, too, must change. And I want to be clear. At the end of the day, the Teamsters are not interested if you have a D, R, or an I next to your name. We want to know one thing. What are you doing to help American workers? As a negotiator, I know that no window or door should ever be permanently shut. In my administration, the Teamsters reached out to 8 Republican senators who stood up for railroad Teamsters over our fight for paid sick leave. Josh Hawley was one of them. We started talking. Senator Hawley changed his position on national right to work. Then we started walking. Senator Hawley walked a Teamsters picket line in St. Louis and a UAW picket line in Wentzville, Missouri. More than that, I want to recognize Senator Hawley for his direct, relentless, and pointed questioning of corporate talking heads, lawyers, CEOs, and apologists. He has shown he is not willing to accept their pillaging of working people's pocketbooks. I know from a career in negotiating that you get nowhere by slamming your fist on the table. The first step is to listen. The Teamsters and the GOP may not agree on many issues, but a growing group has shown the courage to sit down and consider points of view that aren't funded by big money think tanks. Senators like J.D. Vance, Roger Marshall, and Representatives Nicole Malliotakis, Mike Lawler, and Brian Fitzpatrick are among elected officials who truly care about working people. And this group is expanding and is putting fear into those who have monopolized our very broken system in America today. There are far too many people on both sides of the aisle still caught up in knee-jerk reactions to unions, who subscribe to the same tired claptrap that unions destroy American companies. Take a moment to consider United Parcel Service, which is the largest private sector logistics company, and it's been unionized for more than 100 years. More than 350,000 Teamsters make it run. We work for good middle-class wages, quality health care, and secure pensions. There are work rules that ensure fairness and due process for both sides. UPS is the most efficient package delivery company in the world. But let's not forget that UPS doesn't provide these great wages and benefits out of the kindness of its heart. UPS does it because the Teamsters fight for it, all 350,000 of us. You know, corporatists hate when working people join together to form unions. But for a century, major employers have waged a war against labor by forming corporate unions of their own. We need to call the Chamber of Commerce and the business roundtables what they are. They are unions for big business. And here's another fact. Against gigantic multinational corporation, an individual worker has zero power. It's only when Americans band together in democratic unions that we win real improvements on wages, benefits, and working conditions. Companies like Amazon are bigger than most national economies. Amazon is valued over $2 trillion. That makes it the 14th largest economy in the world. What is sickening is that Amazon has abandoned any national allegiance. Amazon's sole focus is on lining its own pockets. Remember, elites have no party, elites have no nation. Their loyalty is to the balance sheet and to the stock price at the expense of the American worker. In my office in Washington, D.C., I can see the United States Capitol from my window. I see well-intentioned people arrive in Washington and get eaten up by an unforgiving system. The responsibility to average Americans takes a back seat. The objective now becomes survival. Fundraiser after fundraiser, corporate consultants hedge every initiative. The Hill crawls with lifers, bouncing from government jobs to corporate jobs and back again. I think we can all agree D.C. is a pretty treacherous area. Most legislation is never meant to go anywhere, and it's all talk. And in America, talk isn't cheap. It's very expensive, and it comes at the cost of our own country. Working people know our system is broken. The elites are not laboring on behalf of workers. There is a political caste system that prevents citizens from accessing their representatives to hold them accountable. For a moment in time, working people in America were seen as essential. Sadly, it took a global pandemic for political and corporate elites to notice this fact. But ask yourself this question. Since the end of the pandemic, when was the last time you heard major news outlets regularly refer to workers as essential? You haven't. The men and women who provide goods and services, deliver packages, stock grocery shelves, care for patients, pick up your trash, and keep our communities safe are taken for granted. All the while, the stock market boomed, housing prices hit record highs, and corporate salaries skyrocket. But the income of everyday Americans are shrinking in the face of inflation. At the gas pumps, at the grocery store, with the electrical bill, and with the car insurance. This has got to change. Never forget, American workers own this nation. We are not renters. We are not tenants. But the corporate elite treat us like squatters, and that is a crime. We've got to fix it. Now, this will shock you. This will shock you. To paraphrase Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, it's time for both sides of Congress to stand their butts up. We need trade policies that put American workers first. It needs to be easier for companies to remain in America. We need legal protections that make it safer for workers to get a contract. We must stop corporations from abandoning local communities to inflate their bottom line. We need meaningful bankruptcy reform. Today, corporate vultures buy up companies like Yellow Freight with the intent of driving them into bankruptcy and feasting on their remains. The courts leave workers begging for crumbs as third-tier creditors. Labor law must be reformed. Americans vote for a union but can never get a union contract. Companies fire workers who try to join unions and hide behind toothless laws that are meant to protect working people but are manipulated to benefit corporations. This is economic terrorism at its best. An individual cannot withstand such an assault. A fired worker cannot afford corporate delays, and these greedy employers know it. There are no consequences for the company, only the worker. We need corporate welfare reform. Under our current system, massive companies like Amazon, Uber, Lyft, and Walmart take zero responsibilities for the workers they employ. These companies offer no real health insurance, no retirement benefits, no paid leave, relying on underfunded public assistance. And who foots the bill? The individual taxpayer. The biggest recipients of welfare in this country are corporations, and this is real corruption. We must put workers first. What could be more important to the security of our nation than a long-term investment in the American worker? In 2021, Teamsters nationwide elected me to fight for them, and that's precisely what I'm doing. Something is wrong in this country, and we need to say it out loud. I will always speak for America and the American worker, both union and non-union. I challenge each and every one of you, and especially my friends on the Democratic side, to embrace cooperation, to truly collaborate, to achieve meaningful and productive change, to ensure we make this great nation in this world the bigger, faster, and strongest nation in the entire world. I love this country. The Teamsters love this country. Our 1.3 million members move America on the roads, in the ports, on the rail, and in the air. And at the end of the day, if the powers to be stop me from raising my voice on behalf of American workers, I will not have one single regret. I still carry my commercial driver's license. I still have my place on the union seniority list. You'll find me back in Boston driving a tractor-trailer, delivering equipment for Shaughnessy and Ahern, because I have the protection of a union contract that gives me the freedom to speak my mind and to fight like hell. God bless the greatest nation. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back RNC Chairman Michael Whatley.
For a benediction, please welcome Pastor James Remke.
It's a great pleasure to be here. Great pleasure to see President Donald Trump safe. And if I may, before the benediction, give you this promise. You're going to be so blessed. You're going to be tired of being blessed. I guarantee it. Believe me. Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty God, you have given us this good land as our heritage. Grant that we remember your generosity and constantly do your will. Bless our land with honest industry, truthful education, and an honorable way of life. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil course of action. We give thanks to you for keeping President Trump safe. We pray for the families of those affected by the demonic violence at the rally on Saturday. And we pray you would send your holy angels to guard and keep President Trump from all harm and danger. Grant that we who came from many nations with many different languages may become a united people. Support us in defending our liberties, and give those to whom we have entrusted the authority of government the spirit and wisdom that there may be justice and peace in our land. When times are prosperous, may our hearts be thankful, and in troubled times, do not let our trust in you fail. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you with favor and give you peace.
For a benediction, please welcome from California National Committee woman Harmeet Dillon.
Thank you, everyone. These last 48 hours have been some of the most intense, yet most prayerful of our lives. The heinous attack on President Trump and his supporters made all of us pause and seek answers and comfort. I come from a family of Sikh immigrants. I am honored to share with you, my fellow Republicans and guests tonight, a prayer from my faith tradition practiced by over 25 million worldwide. We recite the Ardas prayer before any new endeavor, giving thanks to God and asking for his protection and help to uphold the values of humility, truth, courage, service, and justice for all. To show respect, we cover our heads when we pray. तू ठाकर तुम पे अरदास जियो पिंड सब तेरी रास तुम मात पिता हम बारक तेरे तुमरी कृपा में सुख कनेरे कोई न जाने तुमरा अंत ऊंचे ते ऊंचा भगवंत सगल समगरी तुमरे सूतर धारी तुम ते होए सो आज्ञाकारी तुमरी गत मित तुम ही जानी नानक दास सदा कुर्बानी. Dear Waheguru, our one true God, we thank you for creating America as a unique haven on this earth where all people are free to worship according to their faith. We seek your blessings and guidance for our beloved country. Please bless our people with wisdom as they vote in the upcoming election, and please bless with humility, honesty, skill, and integrity all those who conduct the election. Finally, we thank you for the Chardi Kala spirit that we have witnessed in President Trump. That is, the tireless and uplifting spirit that is sustained even in the face of violent adversity, like a founding father centuries ago. And we thank you, dear God, for protecting his life. We thank you for his examples of nirbha, fearlessness, and nirvair, the absence of hate when faced with vitriol. These examples of extraordinary calm inspire us. Nanak Naam Chardi Kala Tere Bane Sarbatta Pala. May your name forever be exalted, spreading happiness and blessings and good spirit, that everyone may prosper and enjoy the grace of your peace. Thank you.
Senator Vance, congratulations. President Trump, we are honored to have you here tonight, and on behalf of the entire Republican Party all across America, we are grateful for you to be our nominee for for the 47th President of the United States of America. The chair declares that the 2024 Republican National Convention stand in recess until tomorrow at 5 p.m.